Hey everyone, this episode of Watch Out for Fireballs is brought to you by our patrons. Patrons such as Damon and Nathan and William, Neil Scott, Cassandra Banner, and Brian Biggs. And it is not the Brian Biggs who plays drums in my band. It is a different Brian Biggs. I have confirmed this. Thank you to those 5 people, but also thank you to everyone who patronizes us at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. If you don't, give it a good consider, think about it for a little bit, throw it in the thought cabinet for a day. And otherwise, thank you for listening. My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, which is an open-world game developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Vivendi Universal Games for the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube in 2005.
Yeah. It's been a minute since we've done a PS2 game.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, and then we have, Terranigma, Out of This World, Vampire. It's kind of like awkward month.
Little.
Like I put this on the schedule. This was a Gary Vanity pick. And I'm a big fan of this game. It's not perfect, though. It is very PS2 generation. Like, one of the things I was thinking about is, like, you want to hold down a weird button to run, get you a PS2 game. Like, it's kind of before we knew how to make video games, kind of thing, even though it feels also kind of modern. So it's real weird, but yeah, it's just kind of awkward month, which is strange for a game that's this Smash focused.
Yes.
That there's any kind of, eccentricities to the controls, but there certainly are. You play as the Hulk in this. And if you're listening to this, and if you're a person, you probably know what Hulk is.
Yeah.
He's big man. Big man, big green fella.
Tends to be green. Fights other things like him that are different colors. You've got red, you've got gray, all of that kind of stuff. It's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde situation. You got your scientist and you got your big guy, and like the comics and movies walk this weird line between being, kind of tense psychological affairs about, the dual nature of man, etc. And Bruce Banner, fleeing from the government and trying to keep his darker self in check. And also, what can we do with big heavy metal things that are real creative?
Yeah. Or like every once in a while, just like, what if he was a gangster? Like what if Hulk was a mobster? I don't know. It's like all comic book things. It's been going on for so long that it kind of is everything.
Yeah.
As we'll talk about, as much as this game is not perfect, like it's fun, but it has problems. I think this is a really good, and this isn't the show for this, but this is a very good adaptation. It's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of covered in the network of transferring mediums.
Yeah. It feels hulky. Insofar as, the cliche of the reviews at the time, like, oh, you really do feel like the Hulk when you're playing this, etc. We can talk about how true that ultimately ends up being to a degree. But also like the story and stuff. This is pulling over story beats. This is not a direct adaptation of any specific work like the Hulk games that bookend this are, either Hulk from 2003 or The Incredible Hulk from 2008. Those are adaptations of movies. This is kind of its own thing, telling a story that's a little bit further into the Hulk's arc. We're not dealing with origins in this. We're not seeing him getting bathed with the gamma radiation. This is him going up against Abomination and him dealing with kind of like the Devil Hulk arc.
Yes, yeah, and we'll if you're wondering what a Devil Hulk is, boy oh boy, we'll tell you. You're working. This is very straight from the comics.
Yeah,
of that. It's deep pulls. It's him working with his therapist. So if you ever wondered who the Hulk's therapist is, we now know. Also a superhero, Leonard Samson, not a superhero in this game, right. However. In this game, you're trying to kind of cure that condition, and then General Thunderbolt Ross and Emil Blonsky try to hunt you down. Yeah. So it's that classic Hulk versus government. The Hulk, Antifa Hulk. In terms of a game, it is a third-person open-world game. You're the Hulk. You run around two maps. One is the city, and one is the Badlands.
Yeah,
and you do Hulk shit.
It's important to note that you do Hulk shit. You never do Bruce Banner shit. If you are controlling this game, you are playing as Hulk. Prior to this, the game just called Hulk had stealth sequences where you were playing as Bruce Banner. It's engaging to watch stories about Bruce Banner. I can imagine it not being very fun to play as him when Hulk is right there.
Apparently, it's like half the game too.
Oof.
And it's apparently a very bad stealth.
Yeah.
Section. Even though you do, I watched a YouTube video of somebody picking out just the best parts of that game, and you do fight the Bi Beast, and I think you fight the KG Beast. Or maybe KG Beast is a DC. What am I thinking of? But I know you fight the Bi Beast. KG Beast is DC. I was thinking of Bi Beast. But Bi Beast has always been one of my favorite Hulk villains. He's just like a Hulk, but he has like two faces.
So he's an Etna?
No, not two heads.
Oh, okay.
Two faces on the same head. Can you imagine the Hulk with double mouth? That's Bi Beast for you, baby.
Okay. Huh. Yeah. Is he Soviet like KG Beast would be? I have no idea.
I think
who KG
so.
Beast
I think that's
is.
where they got mixed up in my head.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. No, but this is all Hulk stuff.
Yes,
you know, you are doing this stuff, and like for the time, you know, I also have a lot of affection for this game. I never beat it, but like this was kind of the perennial for me. Like you just fire this up and have a lot of fun walking, you know, like slamming around in an open world, smashing stuff kind of deal. Like this, the actual just kind of fucking around gameplay loop in this plays a little bit like Grand Theft Auto. Like there's a wanted level and everything.
It's GTA with the cheats already turned on.
Yeah.
When you start it, like you're already being able to do additional chaos. You don't have to actually do any steps between it. It's pretty good. It's great for the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, and even pretty good now. Fun to move around. You can just run up buildings effortlessly. You can do these huge jumps, which are very fun.
God, that is such an underrated way of getting around an open world. Like Saints Row got it with Saints Row 4. But like, do you ever play City of Heroes, Gary?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I met Dr. Bong and the Fart Shaman, if you recall.
That is where you met Dr. Bong. But I think
that's where I met my guild mates, Dr. Bong and the Fart Shaman.
That was an MMO. You chose your combat powers, but you could also choose your movement powers, which had different tiers and stuff. Like you could either fly or run super fast, but you were a chump if you did anything but jumping around. The leaps were always the best thing.
Very fun.
Hulk has ups in this, and it's super fun to get around. Basically, buildings and cars don't matter.
No, not at all. It's very Crackdown.
Yeah.
Esque. Buildings, cars don't matter. In multiple ways, it's worth noting that when you're running around, one of the secret keys to this game is that running through things or blowing things up don't hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So things don't exist to you. So contrast most open world video games where like maybe something is destructible, but it's not very many things. You know, if you hit a tree or you hit like certain things, you'll just stop. You know, and that can happen here as well, but it's fewer things. Most things you just run through and they just explode when you touch them. Again, like it's GTA and you are the tank.
Yeah.
You're like driving the tank or things just blow up. And very notable, it doesn't hurt you. If that hurt you, you would ruin the game. It's like the fall damage, you know, the single vorpal flaw.
Also, there is no fall damage in this.
Fall damage would also make this very rough.
Yeah.
In addition to jumping, you have some weird air dashes and air punches you can do that are never not really funny.
It just like you enter, like he just enters a punch pose and he gains limited power of flight. Just Z-axis is up. It's like somebody's dragging him with a mouse. It's real good.
You turn into and if you do this when you lock onto something, you'll go for a surprising distance. It's kind of like playing as the briefcase that Agent 47 throws. That will like locks onto the jet ski. Except instead of that, it's a helicopter. Like if you lock onto a helicopter and do the punch, you'll go for a surprisingly long time to follow it.
Hulk's home planet needs him. And by home planet, I mean helicopter.
It's so good. It's very funny. It's not realistic, but it's like useful and fun to get around.
Yeah, and given that the majority of the things that are actually threats to you are airborne, it is really nice that they concede that they give you the ability to kind of do those uppercuts, implausible though they may be. Yes. Yeah.
There's also fast travel in this game, which is good. Like there are no vehicles, so it's good to be able to fast travel. You unlock these jump points, which allow you to do even bigger jumps. And you can also jump to your home base. You have a home base in this, which is a church that Doc Samson owns for some reason that's surrounded by a tiny little town where like the people who live there don't matter. Who cares about them?
Yeah.
They get blown up a bunch when there are a couple of missions that happen near Firelink Shrine. But typically you're using these just to fast travel around.
Yeah. We talked about the wanted system. This will go up. I forget exactly how many levels there are, but if you know Grand Theft Auto, you'll know the way this works. It is sometimes real funny what will trigger this. Just run through a light pole and it's like boop.
Yep. You can just drop kick a guy into the water and it's okay.
And it's like
just a guy too. It's not somebody who's against you or anything. You know,
just a person. Just hawk him. See if you can get him over the horizon.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things here is picking stuff up. So like you can grab a car and throw it, and this is going to be one of your primary verbs, especially because crowd control ends up being a pretty big deal. And Hulk can't get up close and personal with everybody. It's gonna be kind of like a little kid playing soccer, right? Everybody chasing after the ball. But a huge deal is certain things when you pick them up can be weaponized. Kind of the marquee feature of this, and one of the most basic things you're going to want to do is pick up a car. Hulk will rip it in half and then fashion both halves into makeshift boxing gloves.
Yeah. Hulk hands, but for Hulk. Our Hulk hands are Hulk's hands. Hulk's hands
are our cars.
And this gets really ludicrous in a really fun way. Yeah. You can make, there's a shield that's very useful. The other like kind of very funny thing is like grabbing that shield and surfing on it. To get around. Like Hulk's just having fun. Some of these times, like the game wants you to play.
Yeah.
In it, in a really good way. Like picking up, cars, smashing them flat and throwing them like boomerangs and stuff. It's real silly.
Bowling, picking up the gigantic burger from the top of the restaurants and just throwing a 7-10 split. Yeah.
Yep. Super good. Very cute. Attacks can all be charged up, and you also have combos. This is very much of its time in that, regardless of the genre, you had to have tons of combos.
Yeah.
In the game. So there are a lot of combos, moves you buy. And these are iconic Hulk things like ground pounds and slapping his hands together really hard so it creates a shockwave, things like that.
Yeah. Neat. And those, those a lot of those can be charged up as well. And the combos get pretty intricate too, like, mid combo charges or different combos that can only start with a charged move. Learning these ended up being a little bit more satisfying than it tended to be in, say, like a PS2 God of War or a Devil May Cry for me.
I thought so, in part because of the uneven difficulty of this game, which we'll talk about later, where it ends up being necessary to learn them. And it's going to sound weird to position that as a criticism, because a pretty standard thing that I tend to have a problem with games is having more complicated systems than the game that surrounds them requires. You know, I think that can be a real problem, but it is a balance.
Yeah.
And this game goes too far the other way. So there's parts where it sings, where it's like, oh man, I keep getting fucked by this one specific hazard. You look through your move list and there's a counter to that hazard, and it takes some execution to learn. You learn it. That's very satisfying.
Yeah.
But they don't always have that difficulty tuned right, because PS2 generation wasn't really what they did.
No, they didn't. They didn't make games that were, that made sense in how they ramped up.
Yeah. Like there's no ramp.
No.
There's a deep feeling in this game of, like, it had to have been play tested to feel as good as it does.
Yeah.
But there's no play testing for an eye towards a difficulty ramp or like an escalation. There are a lot of difficulty spikes.
Yeah.
In this game.
Very inconsistent in the ways in which it makes you feel cared for as a player.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Those moves and combos you buy and upgrade some of your existing moves and stats through a menu at the church. I assume you're buying them from God, using smash points that God awards you for smashing his creation. You complete these missions, you perform actions, you get smash points. You buy these moves. New sets of moves are unlocked every chapter. There, and these are really, really varied and useful.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're not really wanting for smash points.
No.
You're not going to be able to buy everything. Like, you do have to make some choices and prioritize. It's not quite that there's a build for it. It's more like in Devil May Cry or something. Like, I know that I'm going to use this, so I'm going to buy this first. This is the most useful thing.
Yeah. Thankfully, so when you look at a move, it will tell you, like, hey, this is pretty important. Some of the stuff that ends up being locked away behind these point buys instead of just given to you are real kind of iffy, like air dashes, or especially like air recovery is a really weird one.
Yeah, should have been free.
Yeah. So you mentioned Devil May Cry brought that up to me because it's kind of a bit of a similar situation where I have no idea why they hid this. Hit this here.
It's not a problem that is solved either. Like, as recently as Sekiro.
Yeah.
It had Makiri counter you had to buy, even though that should definitely have been available out of the box.
Yeah. So a problem that I have with the game, I don't know if you have this, is that Hulk is really vulnerable in a way that makes it feel a little un-Hulk-like, at least as far as other depictions of the Hulk are. And I understand it is a difficult balance to make. Like, how do you make him powerful without making him so overpowerful that it takes away like the risk of doing Hulk-like things, right? I found that the lack of real ways to defend yourself were a problem. The camera was more of a bugbear in this than I could remember, especially as regards missiles, which are swarming you constantly, especially after certain difficulty walls come up. And boy, for something that kind of has a juggernaut-like unstoppable momentum, lots of stuff stun locks you. Control gets taken away from you quite often. These were things that kind of ended up like being pebbles in my shoe for most of the game.
It's missiles.
Yeah.
It's almost exclusively missiles. And the way they handle it in this is that they don't do that much damage to you. They just send you flying.
Yes.
So you can get really juggled in this game. Like, you feel exceedingly hulky when you're just running through like cars and shit.
Yeah.
And even when you're running into enemies and tanks and stuff, like they blink, you don't until you get hit with a missile.
Yeah.
It makes, the game when you're not doing one of the like, here, have a party missions, when you're doing one of the missions where the game wants to challenge you, it becomes a game almost entirely about how to deal and counter missiles.
Yes.
It makes like the shield item really important. The thing that lets you punch missiles back at their source is absolutely key.
Yeah, but I can't see when they're coming at me because the missiles come from above. Like
the missiles are really overused.
Yeah.
Like it's a big problem with the game. It ends up being, the difficulty spikes in this. The parts in which just are not fun tend to be missile madness.
You ever been around like so many bugs? Just like so many bugs have been around that like as they were flying, they ran into each other around you.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I don't live in a human abattoir, Cole. I don't, like, where are you getting all these bugs, man?
Just bugs around, ambient bugs. Yeah. No, I'm thinking of a time. No, there was a time when there was this huge infestation of Japanese beetles that looked like ladybugs but weren't. They were like little orange and stinky. Yeah, and like so many of them got into the basement of the house where I was growing up. That like when I was sitting down there on the computer, they were swarming around so much that as they were like dive bombing, they were running into each other midair. That's what the missiles are like in this.
Yeah, just little dipshits, little dumb ducks. Little those things were great because the college newspaper where I worked, had very little to report on because it was a college newspaper.
Of course.
So when it was like Japanese lady beetle season, it was like sweeps week for the paper, and would displace the usual stories of like unusual wind, things like that. And not unusual like it was turning people inside out. Unusual just because it was a little stronger than normal, but not a tornado or anything, just kind of a little blustery. But yeah, there are too many missiles.
Yes.
That is the big thing that I find that knocks me out of my Hulk.
Yeah.
Hulk mode. And when I kind of adjust my expectations to like, I have to deal with missiles, I have to be on the lookout for missiles, I had to play this as a defensive game in those moments. Mm-hmm. That's where I found some fun, even in those like shitty spikes. Mm-hmm. And it's not monolithic. You don't spend the entire game doing that, which would be very un-Hulk.
Yeah.
But you do the knob is turned too far. Mm-hmm. It's like it's like a generational tuning thing.
Yeah.
You just spend too many missions batting missiles out of the air.
Boy, man, just it really felt like it was all that to me. But
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's availability heuristic stuff.
Yeah, well, they stand out because they're not fun, or they're less fun. Like again, I managed to find some fun in them, but it's less fun.
Yeah. It just made me want something more modern. Like I was playing this and thinking, man, how great would it be if we had the, Marvel Spider-Man treatment of the Hulk in this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we might get it. We're getting that Marvel Spider-Man treatment of Wolverine.
We are
soon.
Yeah.
That Insomniac's making a Wolverine game. And then, very excited.
Yeah.
The one thing I think that is pretty hulky is how durable you are. Mm-hmm. You do take damage, but your health regenerates, and you pick up, again, generational thing. This is a PS2 thing. Health is all about orbs. Yeah. It doesn't regenerate very fast. They're just freestanding orbs, and you get orbs for smashing, and they're just orbs about, and you have to run around and grab these orbs.
Man, I really wish that those orbs gave more.
You have to enable the cheat that gives them more. I have the weird feeling that, like, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I have this weird feeling that this game is meant to be played with the cheats.
Yeah.
And that, but yeah, the orbs, you run around and get the orbs in order to take like a little breather between smash 'em ups.
Yeah.
It's not the best way for them to do health. And this was just the style at the time.
Yeah. Health ended up being more of a problem in boss matches than in actual missions for me.
Well, in part because you can't just like run away and stuff. Like one of the things I like about the main missions in this game is that, if I'm getting beat the crap up, I'll go run away for a little while, smash some stuff up, get some orbs, come back. Hulk's got all day. He's not on a deadline usually. Like, of course, it's from 2005, so there are several missions with a timer, but there are several without. You know. It does become a problem with boss fights, and also boss fights end up being about privation because you're in an arena where you have limited smash 'em up opportunities, both in terms of getting orbs and weaponizing shit, throwing stuff. Yeah. The way that I think it's kind of generous though, is you can overcharge your energy. So you can get temporary health.
Yeah.
If you pick up an orb and you're at full health, it's not wasted. You get more health. This is called critical mass. And when you're in critical mass, you can use these very, very powerful AoE attacks or very high damage single target attacks that are really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Like very, very useful. And you can just tank a lot.
Yeah.
Like you can basically double, if you get all the upgrades, you can basically double your health and just be very, very hearty.
Yeah.
Stand there and trade blows for quite a while.
Yeah. Those critical mass attacks ended up being mission makers and breakers for me. Insofar as you can do builds, the fact that critical masses were ways to get a lot of range damage, specifically dealing damage to a whole bunch of stuff. It was kind of like having a super bomb in a shmup a little bit. It was like a no shit button.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And they give you, if your health dips low, you enter an adrenaline rush phase. This allows you to use a critical mass attack without drawing your energy down. You can only use one. Once you use that, you go back into being sad Hulk mode. I also think you're invincible for a little bit when you first go into adrenaline rush. Yeah. I don't know this to be true, but it seemed like I would take a lot of hits immediately after getting that notification and not get hurt.
I think they put friction on the bar is what it feels like.
Yeah. Yep. Which if you're not in a boss fight, or even, if you are in a boss fight, but this is a signal either, to do a critical mass attack and then get out of there. Doing your hit and run, Hulk and his famous guerrilla tactics. Use,
all the subtlety that a Hulk can bring to the table.
Yeah. Stealth Hulk. This mostly works for me. I didn't have I got in the next note. This was the healing pickup county was something you struggle with. This mostly worked for me.
Yeah.
In general, sometimes you had to range pretty far afield.
Yeah.
To refill health, but like taking it as an opportunity to go grab orbs just felt like a sign of the times to me. Like I'm playing a PS2 game, time for orbs.
Yeah, definitely sign of the times comes with the territory, with stuff that comes out this way. It just, the times when it stuck out to me were bottlenecks in the storyline, particularly boss missions. That first fight with Abomination is a real wake-up call as far as managing health goes. Yeah. You don't, the game would, if it had a dodge, that would help a lot. Yes. Yeah.
But again, this was kind of before we figured out how to do those. Like God of War had that weird block dodge you can do, and it's not great.
Yeah. You mentioned the cheats. Those are attached to kind of the collectible system in this. There are comic books strewn throughout the world, which you will pick up. A lot of these will give you smash points. Like this is a way to get a big payday as far as smash points go. Some of them give you like concept art or different costumes you can do. And a lot of those are issued through cheat codes. Weirdly, embedded in these are some outright essential cheat codes that actually are not just new skins or whatever, but specifically ones that double the damage that you deal and double the potency of health pickups. I don't know how you would play without these.
I don't know either, and I don't know why these aren't things you buy from the menu.
Yeah.
Like these are avatar pick. Like they should not have called them cheat codes.
Right.
Is the issue. Like they wanted to have a different way of improving avatar strength than just moves and increasing your health bar, your energy bar. These are just exploration based versions of that. Calling them cheats is real weird.
Yeah.
I guess they're called cheats because they're optional. Like for extra challenge, you can not put them in, but the game is still hard and, with double damage.
Yeah.
And double health pickups. It doesn't obviate it.
Right. Also optional is just not buying them if you don't want them.
Yeah, exactly. A quick note about the skins you get for this. They put in more effort to these than they usually do. These come with new voice lines.
Oh, huh.
And stuff. If you go through as Mr. Fix-It, which is Hulk when he is a gangster, he does gangster quips.
God damn it.
And stuff.
That's so fucking dumb.
And the bonus, one of the bonus, it's super dumb, dude. It's from a very acclaimed run. I've never read the Mr. Fix-It stuff, but it's always been funny to me. When I used to collect these action figures, I had a Mr. Fix-It action figure, and it's just very funny because it's just like a 20s gangster, but he's all hulked up. When you beat the game, you can go through a skin where you're Banner, the whole time. You still have this same move set, but your banner, and that's real fun.
Huh.
That looks really great. Yeah. So the story, there's a pretty good story mission variety. Basically, especially for the curve.
Mm-hmm.
You're still Hulk, so you're mostly going to be smash, protect, and steal. One of the biggest laughs I get in this game consistently is when you have a mission, your psychologist beams like your mission objective into your head, and it's played through the camera zooming in on what you're supposed to do, and then him whispering a command at you. And the very first time that happens is so funny. Like it just shows you like a generator, or the data or something, a video game object.
Yeah.
And then you just hear smash. It's so funny.
Oh gosh, there's a defense.
Yeah, defend. Will do.
Hulk ASMR programming.
The Hulk ASMR therapy. Like this is his therapist doing this to him. I don't know. The ethics of Doc Samson are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
In this, man,
reading about Samson was weird. Just like literally, his name is Samson, and the gamma radiation makes it so he's more powerful the longer his hair is.
Yeah. He's not great. It sucks too, because he's kind of a good character. Like there are really great comics that are about like a team of superheroes going and visiting him.
Yeah.
That are like, there's a very famous X Factor comic, and it's just the character, superheroes going to therapy, and that's a good idea. The fact that he's this weird, Superman with mega hair that goes off and fights Wendigo is just stupid. Like, it has never been very additive to the character, I think. More than the story missions, I think, the challenge missions have tons of variety. I think these are real fun. You do weird shit like, because it's a GTA like on the PS2, so you have to take care of ambulances.
Of course.
Freelance ambulancing was all the rage in the mid 2000s.
Yep.
So you like carry ambulances to hospitals, but you do other things where you pick up an inflatable gorilla that's used as an advertisement and see if you can glide and do like a pilot wings thing, like land in the right spot. You go bowling with like crumbled up cars.
Yeah.
These are really fun. They're really creative. They're a leg up from the Spider-Man 2, balloon capture and pizza.
Yeah.
They do a good job with these.
Yeah.
The only mechanical incentive to do these is to get more smash points, and you're never really like wanting for smash points.
Yeah.
But again, early, mid 2000s, it was more accepted to be a rhythm of a game to be, I'm going to fire up this game and do what I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to try to play it, and get further. I'm just like, maybe I'll do this. That was a mindset.
Yeah. More than a lot of other kind of games, we're not playing this one in its natural state, which is, to just kind of do not even just whatever you feel like, but like whatever's on the way. It's like, okay, there's a story marker over there, and there are these optional ones in between. I'm feeling like an optional one. Let's see what this one is over here and stop it, as opposed to making a beeline. So I will cop to being eyes on the prize on this, and missing out on probably some of the cooler challenge missions, at least this time.
Yeah, they're just fun. They don't do too much. I think the difference with this generation, with these, and then something like Shadow of Mordor, right, is how unintegrated they are. They're just for fuck arounds.
Yes,
it's closer to the bonus games in Monkey Ball or Crazy Taxi.
Yeah,
than it is in a more modern open world game.
Crazy Taxi Bowling.
Yeah, it's very similar to that kind of thing, like a fun diversion, but they just put them in the actual game as opposed to a different menu.
Yeah. Looks and sounds good for the time. You're going to notice draw distance and stuff like that. That's just going to happen. It's worth noting this is 2005 when the Xbox 360 came out. We're saying PS2, but that's just because that was the system most people had. This was on Xbox and GameCube as well. But for all those systems, it really overextended. what that generation of hardware could do. This is one of those weird little kind of transitional games that was on the threshold, which again just puts it further into this kind of awkward territory. But it is keeping track of lots of different things on really big maps. And that is one of those, nice uses of powerful game technology, is letting you do different kinds of cool play.
Yeah. It's the best version of this, if you're going to play it on hardware, is the Xbox version is considered. The other reason why I keep referring to PS2 is because it's stuff I associate with the PS2 generation being one of the most popular consoles of all time. Mm-hmm. There were just more games that did the stuff that we're talking about. We didn't really, we kind of skipped over the story. The story is okay, I think. Mm-hmm. What you don't want is embarrassing.
Right.
For a superhero game. And I don't think it's embarrassing.
No.
It's a little go get the doodads. Mm-hmm. Samson is having you do these missions to get parts to build a machine to cure Hulk. Mm-hmm. And also trying to counter everyone who's trying to counter you. Specifically the military, but then within the military, Emil Blonsky has his own evil kind of agenda.
The Division.
So it's a little generic, and you're still just doing a handful of hulky things. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of times where the mission, what you're actually doing will be like, hey, we need to go get 6 power converters. Go grab these. It's not as bad as like go collect 10 pelts or whatever, because these are each a little bespoke guarded challenge where you go get these.
It's just like,
were you laughing at the idea of Hulk collecting pelts?
No, I was just, the number of missions in a row that were like, all right, Banner, we need to get this power conditioner. Okay, you got the power conditioner, but we need the power coupler. All right, you got the power coupler, but we need the power modulator.
you do a lot of things like that. I was just thinking about Hulk picking up a human and getting its pelt with the same animation as creating Hulk hands. Just tearing, like peeling.
It'd be like when Pyramid Head killed that one lady in the Silent Hill movie by ripping her skin off.
Very similar,
Yeah. Something about the way the story is delivered is that very, very little of it is done within the actual game. Most of it is, most of the things that move the story forward in a non-go grab the doodad way are later on, or they are boss missions where you are confronting one person or another. Weirdly, there are cutscenes, and the cutscenes are pretty good. They're voice acted really well. You got Ron Perlman here. How can you go wrong? But
and I can't remember his name, the guy who did Bruce Banner's voice in the cartoon.
Yes, Neil McDonough, Birkin from Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yeah. Who does a good job. Mm-hmm. It's wild. It's Birkin. But it does a good job. Like, I think that the cutscenes also don't outstay their welcome.
Yes, they're quite short.
They're quite short. They're punchy, and again, not embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, none of this is a great story. Mm-hmm. We're not looking at PS4 Spider-Man, which I think that's a really good story for a superhero game. We're not there. But it's not, it doesn't make me feel gross and embarrassed.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of stuff that just kind of like pops up by surprise in the chapter beginning title cards. Like Devil Hulk never gets a name until just suddenly a Devil Hulk is in play.
Yes. They just assume you know what Devil Hulk is. And I followed a trail of breadcrumbs that began with the first word in that sentence and ended with the second word. But yeah, there's some charm to that, but it's not going to win any awards.
Yeah,
when it comes to that.
Yeah. So like we said, this was developed kind of alongside or after the 2003 game Hulk. This is technically a sequel to that because it was made by the same studio, a lot of the same personnel. The 2003 one based directly on the Ang Lee film, which I've never seen. Is that as bad as people say?
Man, that is a can of worms, because I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
But of course, because we live in a fucking hellscape, it has this weird reevaluation. It was good, actually.
Yes.
Thing that the Star Wars prequels have. Mm-hmm. It is so bland and ugly.
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh, well, I prefer it to, Avengers, because at least it's bad. You're like, at least it does dumb shit. Like, I'd prefer it to be bad and interesting than, The pendulum has swung so far.
Yeah.
It's a really bad movie. It's boring. It does not do a good job of understanding. It doesn't feel like an adaptation to me of the Hulk. And it also, as much as it's an adaptation of comics, because there are little comic frame tricks like the Scott Pilgrim movie, but none of the spirit. And the end, he fights a big CGI tornado. That's what's his name? Not Gary Busey. Nick Nolte. He fights a gigantic CGI tornado, Nick Nolte. And it's like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I hate that movie.
Yeah.
Fucking hate it. But there are corners of the internet where they're going to be like, no, it's good actually. Just like the Phantom Menace. I'm like, wow.
It smells funny in there. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's horrible.
I'm just curious because I really don't watch. This is not me being a snob. I don't keep up and kind of never have outside of the big tentpole ones. Like I literally just last week saw the 2008 Ed Norton Hulk movie, which is fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not great. I like it better than the Ang Lee one.
Yeah,
but it depends on how much you want. Whether you're judging something based on quality or how far it is from a mean.
Mm-hmm.
If one's only metric for quality is how unusual is this, then it is better.
Yeah.
If your metric for quality are like film things, like how much does this make sense? How good is the dialogue? Is it, fun to watch? Does it move along at a good clip? Like then it's worse.
Yeah. Gotcha. I was just curious. We're kind of in your court on this.
Yeah. Vivendi did a contract with the developers of this Radical Entertainment. They brought a lot of people back for this, and this is because Radical made their name with Simpsons Hit and Run. So yeah, good for them.
Another WoF alumni. Yeah,
another game that begins a lot stronger than it ends.
Man, so many similarities actually.
Yeah, like a game that bats above its weight class, but is mired in the design problems of the time it came out. Bam.
Yeah.
Radical.
But one of the reasons that Ultimate Destruction is such a success story is because Radical really took the criticisms of the first Hulk game to heart. People said, hey, these levels are way too linear. Like we're just kind of running down hallways. Hence we get the open world in response to that. And also they said, yeah, these stealth sections are really bad. And hence why Bruce Banner is only a story figure and not a gameplay figure.
Yes. They also brought on comics people to keep the story faithful. So Paul Jenkins, kind of a journeyman or a workman comics guy, but has done good and bad work, is brought in to write the story. Brian Hitch, who's an amazing artist, did visual oversight. He's pretty wasted on this. Brian Hitch is a beautiful illustrator, and this is a PS2 game. So it looks, uncanny and charming and tops out as such.
You're right.
This got pretty good reviews. What's very funny is part of the art that is on the case has a 4 out of 5 review, like a proudly 80%, which is very good. People like the sandbox and stuff. They're a little split on the story and missions of it.
Yeah. Which makes sense. As I was reading the excerpts of reviews and even looking at the scores, I was like, yeah, that scans. People had a pretty good read on this. But this has a huge legacy as being, one of the most successful comic book games, especially before the Arkham games kind of came out and reset a new standard. But like this is put alongside like Spider-Man 2 in terms of, what the surprisingly good licensed games that feel very faithful, at least in feel and the things they're having you do to their property. Spider-Man makes you feel like Spider-Man. Hulk makes you feel like the Hulk. The snozberries taste like snozberries.
Yeah, I would throw X-Men Legends in there as well.
Oh yeah,
as games that like do team shit. It emulates that part of that comic. But it's worth like comic games were just awful outside of the arcades. Yeah. For basically forever. So when those came around, it was a big deal.
Yes.
Radical went on to develop the Prototype series, which is not Infamous, which I always get those two mixed up. And I really want to play those games now.
They're interesting.
I just like a big running around a city, jumping.
Well, they're
shit.
they're Venom games is what they are. You do like big chomps. You get power by using your like real little symbiote to eat people. And you can do possessions and, like possess a helicopter, like a helicopter pilot and stuff. And it's New York. And it's a pretty well modeled New York. The second one apparently like leans a little bit too far in the Saints Row humor kind of direction, but also you get lots of like way more over the top kind of stuff than you get in the first one. So.
When you said you possess the helicopter pilot, when you first said you possess the helicopter, and I was imagining a helicopter with all the powers of Venom. It just he's the black helicopter with like his face instead of the cockpit, like chomping.
Tell me it doesn't happen. Tell me it doesn't happen.
Back when this was contemporary, because part of my affection for this was like this came at a time in which video games were a very healthy part of my life. Mm-hmm. Like I just kind of one game I played at a time and really enjoyed it, but I did other stuff.
Yeah.
And when I was like going to the comic store every week, so I had friends who I would like talk comics with all the time.
Yeah.
As opposed to now where it's mostly Jeremy. And I kept coming up with ideas for fun Venom shit that would then show up in the comic like a week later.
Oh, huh.
Like, I've never seen Venom take over a helicopter, but I was like, oh man, they got to do a time travel story where like a T-Rex gets symbioted. And then it happens like immediately in Old Man Logan. And it was like 2 months after I said that. It was a very, very uncanny TV's talking to you kind of moment.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I would like to play a Venom copter game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really tracks, especially the way you move around as the prototype person who I could not name if you pointed a gun at my head. So not Aiden Pierce, but may as well be Aiden Pierce with his iconic cap. Yeah,
with his iconic Venom. Hulk hasn't had a game for a while since 2008. They made one for that Ed Norton movie, and he's kind of a premier character in the Avengers flop. That some people told me is worth playing. I've not played it. But the one of my favorite pithy Will Hughes games writing headline, which is was he really liked the story in that Avengers game, and the headline was "The story in the Avengers is almost good enough to make it worth playing the Avengers," which I like that.
Yeah,
that pith.
I started it. The opening is real cute, but I drifted away for other stuff.
Kamala Khan's like a real fun character.
Yeah.
Like she's great. I'm looking forward to her show. Like the trailer for that looks great.
That's Kamala Khan going up against MODOK. Like rules.
What, yeah. How can you go, entirely wrong? Like obviously you can go wrong.
Right.
Because nobody really likes that game that much, but you can't be without value. With those two characters are very likable.
Yeah. But like as a, 7-hour campaign, like you couldn't force me, for all the gold in the world to sit down and play, the game as a service Avengers game, just beat them up where you're leveling up your Iron Man or what have you. But as a 7-hour campaign, it remains intriguing to me in a way that the Guardians of the Galaxy game remains intriguing to me.
Yeah. I think if Guardians had been any other property, like I might have like flexed that onto the show at some point. I just like that doesn't speak to my kid Gary, so it doesn't give me that immediate prairie dogging. But let's get into it. Let's Hulk it up.
Let's do. So let's get into it. We get an opening cutscene describing what the Hulk is.
And you're not playing as the Hulk in the beginning. You're doing a VR tutorial that soldiers go through where they get to pretend to be the Hulk to understand how to fight the Hulk. If the army started doing this would be the most effective ad that they've ever had. Like joining the army in the MCU would suck because the Marvel universe would suck because the Hulk might crumble you up into a ball and like drown you. But at the same time, you get to do this cool video game
where you get to be the Hulk.
The army. Yeah. pretty fun.
I mean, I don't see how this doesn't give you a little bit of sympathy for what it is like to be the Hulk, though. Like,
yeah,
why is everybody shooting
try not
at
to
me?
destroy stuff?
Come on.
Yeah, you can't. Like, there's not like a Hulk online server where everyone obeys the traffic laws. You know? Like, so this just basically teaches us the verbs. They do the thing where they're like, complete the full tutorial if you want to get a bonus move, which just saves you a couple smash points. But I always like it when they reward you for doing a tutorial.
Yeah.
Like that, in this specific flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy too. Like on replays, that kind of sucks because you don't want to go through the tutorial, but it goes quick.
Yeah.
We go into our little prelude here where Bruce gets a call from his doctor, Samson. The military, led by Blonsky, is preparing an operation to find him out in the woods. Hulk only ever really wants to be left alone, but cannot. Samson says, hey, get back home so we can actually finally stop you from your health from deteriorating. Mm-hmm. Not only do we not want you to be the Hulk, but being the Hulk is killing you.
Yes.
In the backstory of this. It's not that important.
It can't be good for your bones.
No. They keep stretching.
Yeah, but bones ain't do that is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Blonsky, the noose is tightened, and Blonsky is leading this attack, blowing up Bruce's little cabin, and starting the first mission here. I know Blonsky, like people would know him, his character from the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie. In this one, he just has a hatred of gamma radiation creatures. See, for a reason. One, we're going to find that out as kind of like the last twist of the game here. But in this, it just kind of seems like he very specifically hates gamma mutants for arbitrary reasons up until you learn why.
Yeah. And if you want more Blonsky, if you're a Blonskyak, he's going to be a big part of the She-Hulk TV show.
Oh, they got Tim Roth back for it?
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. He's so old and he's like aged so poorly. I thought it was Michael Douglas.
Oh, uh-oh.
Who plays Hank Pym. And I was like, oh, Hank Pym did a crime. But no, it's just Tim Roth looks real old now.
Ooh, that's a shame. It has been 14 years.
Yeah, exactly. People age. It's fucked up. They blow up your shack. You come out, you're the Hulk. And all you have to do is escape. So this introduces you to a bunch of your common enemies that you're going to have that are worth talking about how they work. So we can just, in the future, it's like, hey, there are helicopters. You know what that means.
Yes.
Regular dudes are almost never a problem unless they have a missile launcher. And even then they fire pretty slowly.
Yeah.
So guys, you don't have to worry about. It gets that right. Tanks are a bigger deal. They have the way that tanks work in this is they're armored, so you have to use charge attacks or special moves to hurt them. Little pro tip again, if you hear this and you're going to replay this, the move where you can grab the turret of the tank and spin it around and throw it at things, absolutely essential.
Yes,
does tons of damage and gets rid of the tank. Saves you tons of time.
Yes,
and then helicopters, which as we mentioned before, you home in on and kind of like fly towards. Otherwise, you throw things at them. Helicopters move so funny in this game because it's again crummy PS2 game. They're constantly like strafing and doing really tight low turns while strafing and stuff. It's real good.
It's kind of like having an Elden Ring player character riding torrent around you. Come on.
Yeah, it's real dorky. You just had to get out of there, though. Yeah. And when you do, Blonsky walks up, finds this canister, this bio canister from the shack that you left behind, and this gamma radiates him. He screams.
Yeah, he becomes what he most hates.
Yes, Hulk.
But Bruce, because he has jumped out of the Badlands here, he gets to go back to Samson's church lab. Samson has set up this neural interface so that Bruce can run these simulations, figure out what triggers the Hulk to show up, and kind of get insight into what is going on in his psychic landscape. For all the worlds and for all the way that this is communicated, it really made it seem like the majority of this would be VR missions.
There's just one line that teaches you that they're not, which they're just like, I'm going to put in a post-hypnotic suggestion that allows me to give you mission goals during your mission. But it does feel like a VR mission, and that's when you get the like smash. It seems like a VR conceit as well.
Yeah. But to get the most out of this thing, we need more power. And a lot of what we're going to be doing is going to be really
Hulk.
a lot of what we're doing is going to be kind of getting this machine set up with enough juice to go. And this takes us to the first proper chapter here, chapter 1, The Enemy Within, and our introduction to the city.
Yeah, I feel like it's San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
There are some bridges in the background that look pretty San Francisco-y.
Yeah.
But there's nothing, it's pretty anonymous.
Yes.
To it, and that's, again, a generational thing.
Mm-hmm.
This could be one quadrant of Liberty City just fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't have interior spaces. We're just dealing with skyscrapers and like the occasional gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And such, just to set an expectation. It's not like, again, like Spider-Man PS4, where it feels very detailed.
Yeah.
This is kind of, it's like a city set that Godzilla would walk through and smash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Just all it needs to be is a good wireframe, honestly, for getting around. And honestly, like the city is fun just because it does provide you with so much cover. You don't end up getting a lot of the terrible missile missions in the bulk of this. There are some that take place like in big parks where there's not a whole bunch of cover, but like the city is neat because it is mostly corridors along the streets.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way that I agree. And I think that it's interesting that the way the Badlands missions up the challenge just through sightline.
Yeah.
It's not that necessarily the threats you're dealing with. It's just that they have a clear shot on you basically from wherever.
Mm-hmm.
The first mission that you do is called Lightning Strike. You land on the Tibbet Grand Hotel right in the center of the city. This is your first jump point there. And there are some police running around you have to deal with. If you are like a Sonic the Hedgehog, like if you love Sonic Shadow the Hedgehog and how he executes the police, in terms of games where you kill police officers, this is really up there. They gotta go. You drop kick a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
But you take them out on your way there, and you get your 3 power substations you need to smash. These are going to this frees up power for Samson's lab.
Yeah. So you go and take them out. They're all guarded by these electric fences, and you got police around as well. The military has not been dispatched to deal with you.
Yes.
So like, thankfully, a lot of these electric fences, like where these power substations are, there's buses right next to them. And you can just pick up the bus, target the station, and then throw it through the wall, throw it through the fence in order to destroy what you need to.
Yeah. Satisfying. Then you gotta get out of there.
Yeah.
When you do so, you find out, well, okay, Blonsky's still after us. We had to get these files off his mainframe. So we had to grab the mainframe. And this is our mission Need to Know, which is kind of a grab and bring back mission. You run to the rooftop of his little paramilitary thing, the division, and grab the mainframe and then have to escape. It will get its own health meter in this. Again, sign of the times, right? Like mid-2000s, you're constantly having to escort things.
Even if they're not animate.
Yeah, it's just everything, you have to be careful like it's destroyed. I was surprised by how kind this tends to be in this game.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that you're escorting anything that's fragile enough that you have to worry about too much. And when you're just escaping, like you jump faster than bullets, basically, like you can get away.
Yeah.
And that is a fun part of this arc.
Yeah.
The frantic escape is very fun.
This is before you get a lot of the missiles. But just as we're talking about these kind of grab and run missions, even when you are being stopped by missiles that are, just kind of ragdolling you around and pancaking you, it's just fine strategy to drop whatever you are trying to take, because the enemies are prioritizing you, not the thing you are trying to carry. So you just drop whatever it is you're carrying, deal with whatever is stopping you with its missiles, and then pick it up and go. Yes.
In addition to doing regular therapy, Doc Samson is beaming a police scanner into your brain. So at any given time, you get to hear the enemies chattering about you. This is an age-old superhero video game trick.
Yeah.
This makes you feel powerful because it makes people, you get to hear how people are scared of you. And thus.
Yeah. But not terribly difficult. You break some shipping crates and then run it to the jump point. So cutscene, we've got Blonsky. He's, again, we learn that he is the key to us either succeeding or failing with this. He has this history with these gamma radiated subjects. And, he gets his authority to, from the NSA, to observe them in their vault, that the division runs. So we have no idea what's going on down there, but, he's, torturing people and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And because he's with General Ross, he's likely finding military applications for this gamma radiation.
Yes.
All the time we spend with General Ross just makes me miss Traster, who is a General Ross figure. I want a revoice of this with all Traster.
Get Toby Husson, please.
Yeah. And the double-edged sword of the PS2 generation's crappy relationship with difficulty, the third mission you do, Protect and Serve, is a huge difficulty spike.
Oh God, this was rough.
Yeah, like I died a bunch of times on this. You can't grind. Like you don't strictly have avatar strength that you can do. You just have moves and stuff. And if this were just the wake-up call mission that were like, it's going to be all uphill from here, or downhill, it would not be a playable video game. But because they didn't really make difficulty curves in games of this generation, this is it's all spikes.
Yeah.
Like we get a bunch of missions that are fine after this. Like the next one is fine, and then the one after that we get a boss fight that's hard. But then after that we get some easy missions.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sprinkling of this kind of thing.
Yeah, this was the mission that made me take your advice to go and prioritize getting those cheat codes. So this is, couldn't get to the Badlands yet, but I got the one that let me destroy stuff faster, which was necessary.
And makes a huge difference.
Yes.
The idea here, so Blonsky knows that Samson's going to hack into this bioresearch building, and he's ordered the destruction of the facility. We have to stop this. And he can't destroy with bombs or anything. He's just going to send a bunch of tanks. We have to protect it for 3 minutes. It's very hard. At this point, you do not have the thing where you can throw tanks.
Nope.
So a tank requires a lot of time from you. And their bullets that they shoot, like this, unlike the other escort missions, they will fire on the building at the, and not at you.
Yeah.
So it becomes like about juggling their aggro and distracting them.
Yes.
In lots of ways. Like it is just as good to knock a tank really far away so it has to reorient itself as it is to destroy it.
Yeah.
For large portions of this.
It's a little plate spinny because the tanks and the guys with the missiles, the rocket launchers, which do just about as much damage as the tanks can, they come from 3 different roads. And they come in waves down them. So, you are incentivized to deal with things as quickly as possible, not just because they are dealing damage, but you eventually want to start dealing with them further and further down those streets so that you are not, getting them so that they can never get into the position where they're dealing damage in the first place.
Part of what makes it hard is that the time limit and the fact that you have a stationary protection object ruins the intended rhythm of this of like fight for a while and then run off to heal and grab orbs.
Yeah.
You can't really run off and leave your charge. It doesn't really work. Like another gameplay design thing that has aged poorly is that you die in this game. Several of these missions, it's going to take you a few tries. And a big budget kind of like empowerment game like this, I am just conditioned to not lose in it. I expect to die in a Souls-like, and I expect to die in games where challenge is part of the point. But if I'm playing something like this, I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't die very often in, say, like your Spider-Man, for example, like a big budget game like that. You just don't die that often. This took 3 or 4 tries.
Yeah.
And that was, again, like putting it the mindset of 2005. Like I just expected that at the time. Now it feels worse than it did then.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing that like with video games of a certain kind of popularity and pedigree, like I don't expect to lose them. But and you do lose this.
There's I think a negative response to that, or a bad response, which is that like, oh, look what they've taken from us. Games used to be hard back when I was a kid, stuff like that. No, it kind of was a little bit always the case.
I don't enjoy losing in games that much.
No,
it's not inherent. It's when people talk about that with FromSoft games, it's always surprising to me because the point isn't that I'm dying.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the thing I like.
Yeah.
Like when people kind of romanticize that part of it, it's the game that surrounds it that necessitates that. Here, because this is a spike and because you're dying due to kind of bad tuning.
Yeah.
It feels bad. The context is what makes the dying feel bad. It's not inherent.
Yeah.
So this should be like a protect this for a minute and a half mission, or this should have fewer tanks and it would be really well positioned in the difficulty curve.
Yes.
Instead it cranks it too far.
Yeah. Boy, it makes 3 minutes feel like a very long time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, 3 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
Like for a video game objective like this.
Yeah.
Very much so. After you eventually do it, which you will, you can, you get a cutscene, General Ross yelling at Blonsky. Like, hey, you had these security levels on this mission data here that we can't get. You fucked up. Ross storms out, and Blonsky starts being talked to by his dark inner half. Very Green Goblin, Sam Raimi movies.
Looking in the mirror and seeing this, kind of red set of eyes, kind of talking back at him.
The next mission is Fire Sale, which is fine.
Yep.
Like now we're back to easy mode.
It's weird. Yeah.
Yep.
Like good in intra mission variety in this as well. Unlike the power station mission that you did before, you do have 3 doodads that you're getting in this, but each of them is guarded by a different kind of challenge. So you need a hydraulic lift, which is in this warehouse that you have to destroy. So you have to do a ton of damage to a building. You need the substation generator, which is protected by a shield. So you have to figure out how to destroy the shield generators to get inside of this. And this involves like overloading it. And then you have to get a CAT scan machine. This involves kind of searching through a bunch of like shipping containers to find this, all while under fire.
Find the correct one. And then between each one, you jump them back to the church. So you have as much time as you need between each piece.
Yeah.
To like chill out and come back in with full strength. And you can approach these different objectives from different angles. And it does help. It's not like a full, you're deconstructing a base Metal Gear Solid 5 style thing. But like there are, going for the CAT scan machine, for example, can be more difficult from certain angles because the enemies have a line of sight on you. It takes advantage of the open world. Once you do this, we find out that like some kind of creature is attacking the military base. It's not us. So we have to go check it out because regardless of whether it is us, we're going to get blamed.
Of course. Hulk-like things are happening, and boy, the military loves blaming a Hulk. And it is not the Hulk. It is Blonsky's other half. It is Abomination, kind of a bit more of a reptilian Hulk-like creature. Have anything to say about Abomination as a character?
I don't have a lot of strong feelings about the Abomination.
Yeah.
In terms of big guys, the Hulk fights, I've always kind of liked the Absorbing Man. a little bit more.
Fucking dorky.
The Absorbing Man.
Yeah.
And then the Leader. The Hulk has the dorkiest fucking villains. The Leader is great though, because he's what if gamma radiation made your brain good instead of your muscles good?
Oh, huh.
So he's just this like super smart guy with a huge head.
Leader brain good.
He's got giant brain. He's got a hulked out brain.
There's your problem.
Abomination is lame because he's just a Hulk.
Yeah. He's a Hulk transformed from a worse person. Blonsky is like this paramilitary NSA kind of guy, who, at least in this version, has this prejudice against gamma radiated mutations, right? So he's wrecking up the inside of this facility, and when Banner arrives, he directly blames Banner for his transformation, even though he was the one who picked up the canister.
And this is the first boss fight in this game. The boss fights in this game are the reason why they fuck up, right? Like I generally don't like the bosses in this game. I think that there's something like there's a core there that could have been saved. The shittiness to them, to me, is entirely based on the way that this game decides to handle health. The rhythm of fight and then go escape is so important to this game. Taking that away ruins the health system.
Yeah.
In this game, there are health pickups in this. You can run around, you fight, you're fighting in this like facility, you're fighting him. When you get hurt, you can run and go grab some orbs. There are a few orbs about. There just are not very many orbs.
And each of them, unless you, I mean, at this point you can't get the cheat to double the effectiveness. You have to get to the Badlands to make that happen.
Yes.
You know, so picking one up probably will heal about 3% of your health, maybe. You know, just you pick it up and you get like a sliver. It's pretty bad.
Well, your health regenerates too.
Yeah.
Which the game does not communicate very well. When you're going off to get orbs, you're also trying not to take damage. So you end up with more than 3%, like when you go on an orb run.
Yeah.
I find, but there's just a limited number of orbs.
Yeah.
And they don't do very much. The orbs might respawn, but if they do, it's a little esoteric as to what causes them to. And then the Abomination as a fight is not matched to your moveset very much, because like missiles, like they made your Hulk so powerful that the only thing that can counter the Avatar strength in this is taking control away from you. So they do missiles which juggle you, and then they have bosses that throw you.
Yes.
And Abomination has a bunch of throws. They're a bummer. You know, you're just not doing anything. It's basically like a short non-interactive cutscene that happens, but you don't have a dodge or anything. There's not like a whole lot you can do.
Yeah.
So the weird thing about these boss fights, they end up being running around throwing things at the boss as much as possible. And there are a limited number of tools for that as well.
Yeah.
Because you're not in the open world. You're in an arena.
Yeah. But like, so you're running around throwing things, but you're also trying to figure out, the majority of the boss encounters have some kind of trick to them, you know, a thing that you can do. You know, sometimes you need to see the boss do it to you to teach you that you can do it. In this one, you're in this big round chamber that has these supports. If those supports are damaged, like that wall, like the scaffolding and stuff will cave in. It'll do a ton of damage to you, but it will also do a ton of damage to Abomination. So like a big part of this, when he is not posted up doing his throwing attacks, is to kind of like lure him over to a place, damage the wall, and then get away fast enough so it collapses on him and not on you. I think that is clever and good, you know, grading on the curve. And it is not like specifically called out to you, like, Bruce, you need to attack the wall so it'll fall on him. You know, like you have to figure out that you can do. Yeah. You know, so I give it credit for this being like an encounter that you will learn, right? Like learning. Yeah. I don't have a dodge, but like I can charge up my jumps and like out jump any of his throws, or any of his grapples, right? As he's coming at you
until I figure it out.
It's just that privation part that really makes this into like way too much of just like a battle of attrition or like a DPS race, right?
You know, and a thing where you don't know that you've made it kind of unwinnable or relatively unwinnable until too late. Like when your avenues for execution-based defense are low enough, and your resources for refilling your tries are limited, you can end up just in a painted corner, like painting yourself into a corner pretty easily. They're bummers. They're degrees of bummers. And they don't end up being as annoying to me as some of the more hateful missions.
Yeah.
But the boss fights in this are no great shakes. And what's interesting is reading reviews at the time is these were called out as a high point.
Yeah.
This to me was a really big illustration of just, and I think this game in general, of like how games have changed. You know, like at the time, like this was awesome. Fucking, you know, you do cool shit. You run around and explode shit and you punch big guys. And that was just all it took.
Yeah.
You know, 2005, fucking wild. You eventually take him down at this point. And the military people come to pick him up. You get out of there. And he blames the Hulk. He's reverted back into being Emil Blonsky. And he says the Hulk was there.
Yes.
So cheeky. This brings us into chapter 2, Dark Desert of the Soul.
Yes. The machine is developed, and Banner and Samson can start looking into Banner's mind to try and locate the Hulk in here. But Banner has been noticing that Hulk is getting darker, more disturbing, you know, this turmoil is getting more tumultuous. This is our first big move unlock. This is where we get the missile bunch, which is basically Hulk parrying which is funny. And then the shield skills.
Yeah, the Hulk riposte. The shield is very good. The shield can only be done with certain classes of cars, but it's a offensive shield as well. You can bash with it, and it's directional, which adds some strategy and is very powerful.
Yeah.
This ends up being depending on the area you're in, a pretty good missile counter. Because if something's coming from the front and it hits your shield, you're basically fine.
Yeah, it lets you close distance without getting ragdolled around.
Yeah. The first mission here is called Eye in the Sky. Blonsky is using satellites to track your energy signature, so we have to destroy the satellites. And we're in the Badlands map at this point. So the Badlands map is interesting. There's a lot more variety to it. There's like a little small town, and then there are some canyons that you go through with here, with a lot of spires with a single delectable health orb at the top that you have to get. But we're in the Badlands, which means that the helicopters and missiles can shoot you from a distance.
Yeah, from pretty much anywhere and from any angle, which is a bit of a rough putt. And this is, where stuff starts getting more militarized because we're right by the military base out here.
Yes. Yeah. This did not, I still like this mission, because the Badlands, as much as you have those open sight lines, you can also escape anytime you need to. It reminded me of like an Elden Ring overworld boss thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm destroying this thing. I've done a certain amount of damage. I'm getting a little too missiled. I'll run over here to this orb paradise. Yeah. Once you beat this, we get to the mission, Get Yourself a Convoy. Where they're shipping parts, a convoy shipping parts for new Hulkbusters. Hulk is so powerful that he has his own buster, as opposed to the podcaster buster, which is just a gun.
Or, being on a slight incline. So
yeah, the heart disease, the podcaster buster that the military is developing.
Yeah. So were Hulkbusters always a Stark thing, or was that just an MCU kind of deal?
Hulkbusters have been around.
Gotcha.
I don't think it was always I think that the proper like Hulkbuster was always a Stark thing.
Okay.
But then they eventually franchised out.
It just became the name for any mech that was meant to destroy a Hulk.
Yeah, anti-Hulk mech.
Yeah.
So they're going to send 3 convoys at you in kind of a row, and you have to destroy them before they get to their destination.
What's really funny is, like, this is kind of a start of the mission briefings just lying to you. Like, they say, like, oh, he's sending 3 because he doesn't think you're going to get to all of them, right? And you think, oh, so they're just sending them all at the same time, and I need, it's going to be like a time limit for all of them. I need to destroy all of them before they get there. No, they're sent in sequence. They're not sent in parallel.
Yeah. he's sending 3 because he thinks you can't get lucky 3 times. It's just like not once but twice but thrice. I like this mission.
Yeah, this is good.
Because it has a little bit of that GTA expressiveness. You don't have to dismantle the convoy. You can run up behind the actual the part that the non-escort part, drop kick it around the corner. Or punt it around the corner so its protection doesn't have a line on you. Run away from the corner and smash the crap out of it before its defenders really get wise to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to it's not prescribed. You don't have to do every step along the way.
It's real satisfying running up on the back of one of these convoys and just doing the running grab on one of its escorts and using its own escort to throw throwing its own escort at the target to destroy it. Yeah.
Yes. Really good. I like this mission quite a bit.
Yeah. And each of these in a row gets more protection, kind of culminating in the kind of the minor Hulkbusters that are there. They're real quick. The basic ones just do missiles and shots. Later on, the Hulkbusters get they get permission to use wrestling moves on the Hulk.
Yes. They unlock on the license board. They've paid the experience points for that. They've done their own smash points.
Yeah.
The next mission after you do this is called Headhunter. It's a field test of a Hulkbuster prototype. I love this where they're like, oh, they actually got it anyway. Yeah. It's so irritating. Like it's bad GMing, I didn't fail, but it didn't work. So because they have this field test, we have to rip off the Hulkbuster's head so they can harvest the neural interface for it and learn more about Hulk busting.
Mm-hmm. What does it take? What do they know about how to bring down a Hulk other than missiles?
Guns?
Missiles. Yeah. I found this tough. So like getting to the quarry is not very hard. It is the keeping the head safe when you have the open missiles. This is where it really hammers home the problems with the Badland missions, right?
Yeah, because you they have a clear sight on you.
Yeah.
Once you get to the kind of second part, the middle section with the spires and the valleys, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because it just you can keep out of vision cones a lot easier than that there. But it starts off tough.
Yeah,
for sure. You can drop the thing though, and they're not trying to destroy the head; they're trying to destroy the Hulk. So you can drop it and go punch the missiles.
The primary directive of Hulk busting is to always bust the Hulk.
Yes, yeah, 100%. One of the things that I think is underused in this is when you can grab the missile bays off the top of a truck and then huck missiles.
Yep.
That's real fun, but it's never that useful. But I remember using it in this mission.
I always just it's one of those ones where you pick it up and immediately a missile comes and bats you and you drop it and you can't pick it back up again. Like a lot of the cool stuff I was not able to really use because you pick it up and it makes you vulnerable. And it gets knocked out of your hands right away. Yeah.
Too many missiles. This leads us into the final mission of this chapter, Proving Grounds.
Yeah. So enough of the parts got to Ross to make this new version of a Hulkbuster. I stopped being able to keep track of which models these are. This is a medium-sized Hulkbuster is what we got.
I can't imagine caring that much about. Like, I theoretically should care about that more than you do, but I'm not.
Right.
I don't. So.
Yeah, but they're getting ready to deploy it, and we need to get to it and destroy it, tearing it apart. This is just a boss fight, and a little bit of a nightmare. I had trouble with this as well. So the comms towers around here keep summoning in choppers and smaller Hulkbusters, and this is where like just the missiles and stuff started swarming. So like the trick is you want to destroy the towers to stop the reinforcements from coming in, but you also have this gigantic Hulkbuster with its laser sweeps and stuff knocking you over.
Yeah. I don't mind this one too much, but I had to. It's like the opposite of the convoy missions. You have to go through the order of operations.
Yes,
for this, it's like the Hulk guerrilla warfare against the comms links for the first half of it.
Yeah,
which means keeping things between you and the Hulkbuster, and the comms link, they don't go down real quick.
No,
they have health bars. But this was the shield ended up being my thing, like putting my back to the wall that's on the other side of the comms link, and then having the shield in front of me so any missiles would hit that, and then just smashing the comms links with the shield.
Yeah,
ended up having you just have to take it real slow, which is not your instinct.
Which is what I want to do as the Hulk.
Yeah, taking it slow. The Hulk is a calm man. You wouldn't like me when I'm slow and steady. You wouldn't like it when I am reasonable. But yeah, this is I'm not saying this is like the Mr. Freeze fight from Arkham City or anything.
Right.
It just didn't bug me too much.
Yeah, we're just running in between Max Payne and this. I think we're on this weird little flip flop.
Yeah, it's okay. Flipping to flop it. I mean, there are boss fights that are coming up that I think are awful.
Oh yeah.
I don't. I'm not going to bat for all of them. I just didn't find this particularly hard.
Let's get to a chapter with that with that bad boss fight. Chapter 3, No Mercy.
No mercy. In between chapters, you get these little text recaps. I appreciate the fact that those happen because you might take a pause. In a game, they're very funny when you're chugging a game. Because it's just what just happened.
Yeah. But this darker third personality is coming to the fore. Again, this is like, okay, so nothing in the missions actually said this is happening. It is just, boy, things are getting darker, and then boom, suddenly third personality. But Blonsky has solidified his hold in the city, meaning that these next missions are going to be more militarized when we're going back to the city. And Ross, I took this note wrong. Blonsky has been working behind Ross's back, potentially, we think, with otherworldly forces in the Division's vaults.
Yes. This starts off with a mission called Authority Issues. Blonsky has developed a new Hulkbuster, the Combat Warden. And this is the Hulkbuster that has the license to do wrestling moves. It can do close combat on you. So you have to destroy the Chief Combat Warden. I find this obnoxious. Not for the lead up to it's fine. But when you get, so you take out the smaller Combat Wardens, the Combat Minis.
Yeah.
And I don't find them that bad.
No.
The main one is at the top of the Division HQ, and for some reason it tries to run away. Like, it's this weird, like, jackalope situation as opposed to, it has no interest in busting a Hulk.
No.
It's a Hulk runner.
it's
the Hulk avoider model that they've created.
Yeah, they just say they somewhere they flipped a greater than less than, and now this thing is fleeing.
Yeah, it fails its morale check as soon as you see it. It fucking sucks. Like, it becomes really obnoxious.
Yeah.
It's trying to get you to a specific spot for an ambush, to fight you, and you can do damage to it up until you get to that point. It's not like a GTA prescribed kind of thing, but it's still very obnoxious. When you get to that park and you fight it, General Ross tries to take over. So there's this intermilitary thing. Yeah. General Ross is always positioned as your enemy, but not a person without principles. Like General Ross believes he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So he's trying to take over this thing. And once you get that main combat warden down, you have to run back to the jump zone.
Yeah.
It's not too bad because not only do the wardens not use missiles, but you're also in the city. So.
Yeah, and it's fun, I think, to run from the melee guys. Ends up being like a little bit of like a parkour chase kind of deal.
Yeah, it's worth noting how like you can climb up buildings in this, but when you hit a building, there's no pause between when you start running up it. So it makes weirdly for a Hulk game, it makes fleeing really fun.
Oh yeah.
You are a lot more mobile and kind of you get in a better flow than your enemy does.
And it feels like it doesn't feel counter to the character. Like talking about it, it makes it feel weird. Like Hulk is generally run to problems as opposed to run away. But like, why would something like gravity or a vertical surface stop a creature with this ability, right? If you wanted to get from point A to point B, a building being in the way, not necessarily that big of a deterrent.
Yeah. And Hulk does try to get away. Hulk doesn't want to be bothered. Hulk want to be left alone. That's what, as you get older, you relate more to the Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Like he literally just wants to go out to the forest and vibe.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate, like, wants to log off, and the military will not allow him to log off.
They will not allow him to log off. He just wants to be in India helping those kids, and then Black Widow shows up. Come on.
Yeah, can't do it.
Yeah.
So after you get to the end, we show a cutscene with Blonsky in his office. He's talking to someone named Mercy, and he orders her to bring him Banner. And she's like, "Hey, are you doing okay?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm fine. I'm not an abomination."
Who said that? Who told
I'm
you
not
that?
the Blues Brothers, Marnie. And then continues on to frantic recovery as a mission.
What's Mercy's deal? What's her whole thing about?
I'd never heard of Mercy before. I didn't know Mercy.
Huh.
Yeah. It makes sense as a Hulk villain, and it's weird because the first Hulk game, in addition to having Bi-Beast, has like the U-Men, all these characters who I knew. I didn't know Mercy.
Huh.
The Hulk villains I know are Abomination, Absorbing Man, Leader, and then every once in a while, Betsy, Hulk's girlfriend, turns into something called like the Harpy, and it's a Hulk bird that she turns into.
I don't care for that.
Gamma radiation is so funny. Like it's just like it mutated that one guy's hair. Like gives this person to a bird. Who gives a shit? Science.
God, I love it.
Yeah.
I love how just these different stories all have their own like primary, motivating force. Like, okay, we got gamma energy, but we also have the arc reactor energy. We've got the Norse gods are real, but also Egyptian gods are real.
It's a real grab bag.
Yeah.
And it's funny how each of these properties like fights almost exclusively just dudes who deal with the same shit.
Uh-huh.
So it's like Hulk is just fighting other people who are basically Hulks. Like I don't know the first major villain the Hulk fought who isn't basically a Hulk.
Yeah.
It's pretty lame. Mm-hmm. Like it's and that's why the X-Men are great because their enemies are mutants, but they have ideological differences.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like there can be only one.
You're preaching the choir.
Yeah. Amen. It's I'm the network Marvel guy, but I'm not a simp.
No.
Let no one say I'm a simp.
No. That's,
I do think a lot of it's ridiculous.
My preference for X-Men stuff is noted. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a X-Men. He's a future cast.
Listen. Catch the fever.
Catch the fever.
So, frantic recovery. Sorry, I stopped you because I had questions about Mercy. So we need we need some gamma profilers. We need the data.
Which sounds like a 2020 segment on Hulks. Yeah, but yeah, we had to go get the combat data. Except it's a box.
Yes,
it's a PS2 object we have to carry.
Yeah, they're being shipped between division facilities. We need to grab the whole truck and then bring it back to the church. And there are a couple of them that we got to do.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of the convoy missions, except you can't just grab the actual thing.
Yeah,
you don't have to destroy the entire convoy though.
Right.
You just have to do some damage to the vehicle first to break its shield, and then you can jump it and get the fuck out of hit the bricks.
Yeah. These are timed. As long as the convoys are moving, they're getting closer to their goal. So you need to take them out very quickly. This is one that I failed just because I could not figure out how to throw stuff on the move efficiently. The target lock on ended up kind of fucking me here a little bit.
The target lock-on is also not very of its generation.
Yeah, it's
not as good as we might expect it to be. This is a level where you can do what open world games do when they're at their best. Like my favorite thing you can do in a GTA, which is cause or create a blockade.
Yes.
You can toss a bunch of cars in the way of a convoy and it will stop. There's none of that. Like it just despawns them because that's the level.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
After this is the shitty boss we were alluding to.
Yes. Yeah. We need some uranium-235. Can't just go down to the stop and go to grab that. So we have to go to a nuclear power plant to get these fuel rods. And this is where Mercy teleports in on us.
Yes. Mercy is a gamma radiation thing that has psychic powers.
She's psionic. Yeah.
She's psionic. So she does Hulk things, but she does it with her brain and teleports around. We're fighting in this silo, this power plant thing. And Mercy sucks. And the reason why Mercy sucks is telekinetic grab attacks.
Yep.
That's the thing that sucks to me is her constantly stunning me with her fucking mind.
There's really no telegraphing of it. It's just if she decides we're going to get you into a grab and we're going to do a little kick attack cutscene, then that's just going to happen. You're just going to have to be fine with that.
It would have there should have been like a QTE or something to avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's even within the style of the time.
Right.
It's like those wizard enemies you run into in Terranigma. Who stun you, and the way you find out is you just got a message that said they did it.
They cast a glance at you. Oh,
yeah. Okay. They cast okay. What was I supposed to fucking do about that? Like it's awkward month.
Yeah.
On WoF, like nothing's bad in 1,000.
Yeah.
This month, it's good games that are kind of fucked. She's really annoying, and all the same problems that were in the last boss fight are here, or the first chapter boss fight are here too. Limited throwables, limited weaponization options, limited orbs.
Yes. Yeah. You get the cutscene. Mercy explains, "Hey, I didn't want to fight you. Blonsky has some kind of tracking device in my head, and he's blackmailing me. I had to do what he told me to do." And she knows what Blonsky is keeping in the vault. She can open this, wide up. But before she can say what he's keeping down there, a helicopter missiles the plant, blowing it up and killing her, blowing up a nuclear power plant in the middle of the city. So
yes, like a sniper missile from a helicopter. it's very silly, and we get out of there at this point. This goes into chapter 4, Cry Havoc. We get a cutscene with Devil Hulk, this voice that comes in. We don't know what it is. It's just an evil, demon-y creature, kind of taunting you, saying scientists are not supposed to fear evolution.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be what's happening to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it takes us into Clean Sweep. Blonsky, he's got these gamma suppressing gas canisters that are distributed throughout the city, just to kind of keep smoke you out like a spider.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, or like smoke out calms down wasps.
I guess it doesn't kill you. It just takes your power away until you de-transform. Right?
Hulk. Yeah, you get sleepy.
Yeah. So you got to grab
just
these
a 3-to-1 sativa blend. He's sending at you.
You get Hulk locked.
Yeah. Like, Hulk can no longer do Grubhub for Doc Samson. Hulk must go sleep.
Hulk sleep with one foot on ground to stop Hulk from spinning.
Yeah. Hulk puke into this.
Hulk party too hard. So we need to grab these canisters and throw them into the ocean. But being close to them and carrying them will drain your energy. So, you've got to kind of look at your map and figure out the quickest way to get them where you need to get them. Yeah.
And the canisters are guarded by Hulkbusters. This is a big deal, but since we're in the city, you can, do a smash and grab. Like, you don't have to deal with these. You can put enough buildings between you and them to make your escape.
Yeah.
And the pods are not very far from the water. One thing I just want to note, I really like how this game deals with water. Which is when you get in the water and Hulk just goes, fuck that, and jumps right back on land. No health, no damage or anything. He's just like, I'd rather not. And that's it.
Yeah. It'll be multiple jumps too sometimes.
Yes.
Depending on how far
just as many jumps as it takes to get out of the water. He's like skips like a stone. The speed runs of this game all involve glitching under the map where there is water.
Okay.
And doing that. Like, if you're under the map, it always considers you underwater.
Okay.
Or in water. So you just constantly do these jumps under the map as if you're jumping out of water. It's pretty fun to watch, but you don't see very much fighting in it. It's mostly figuring out how to glitch under the map. So, yeah. This moves us into a mission called A Bird in the Hand.
Yeah. So more uranium-235 stuff. Blonsky is moving uranium-235 to the damaged reactor via this helicopter. This is another time where the mission lies to you, or the mission brief lies to you. It says, hey, you need to follow it closely so that you're right there when it unloads, so you can steal the rods before they're transferred in. Nope, you just have to take out the helicopter.
It really seemed like it was going to be a follow this closely but not too closely mission. Because it was 2005, and I'm really glad it wasn't.
Yeah.
The helicopter is being escorted by these hilarious jump jets, which, like, there are jets that actually do have VTOL things, but like these are constantly strafing and stuff. It looks really weird.
They're also tiny. Like, jets are fucking huge.
It's so funny. They're like one person strafing mini jets. They're basically Transformers. Really good. So it's being escorted by these guys. They're a pain because missiles, but because weirdly in this game, I find it's all just based on how many there are.
Yeah.
Like, if there are only a few jets, it's never that big of a deal because I will incidentally dodge a lot of missiles through like locking on and doing the weird air dash and shit.
Yeah.
You know. So you destroy this helicopter and you take the rod canister to the jump point here to get out. When you do, Blonsky is talking to Mercy, who's been injured. She's in a goo tank.
Incorrect. Sorry, I should have corrected this.
Oh.
Not talking to Mercy, talking to what appears to be a feminine figure in a tank of goo.
Oh, yeah. Who you could be forgiven for thinking is Mercy.
Yes.
At this point, in a nutrient bath here. And he's telling her that when they capture Banner, they'll understand how to stop the transformations. This is foreshadowing his ultimate motivation.
Yes. Yeah. Taking us to lockdown. So Samson says, hey, we need to get this code from a division informant across the city. The problem is this informant is not going to give it to the Hulk, and the city is under lockdown because of recent Hulk activity. So we need to protect Samson as he drives across the map in his Hyundai Elantra.
Yes. He's got a Nissan. He's driving in a Steam, and we have to, I don't know if in this game, if Samson is super powered or not, because it's acting like he couldn't just like Hulk jump across the city, which he can do.
Yeah.
You know, in this motivation. So I don't know. But this is not as bad as it could be. Like, you think this is going to be, you know, that one mission or whatever, just like a really obnoxious escort mission. It's really not.
Yeah.
There are checkpoints in it. He's smarter and more hardy than you might expect a target of, this to be. He will
not straight up drive into places where tons of enemies are. Like, he'll cool it in an alley, waiting for you to destroy stuff. I was actually pretty impressed. This was like, amid all of the outdated mission design in this felt like it was very considerately done. Like, somebody sent back, just like just an index card worth of quality of life pointers for one particular mission from 5 years after this game came out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there are many ways in which this game, while no masterpiece, is a little bit above average, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
The boss fights never quite get there, but this is not as bad as it could be.
Yeah. The mission, My Other Voice. So Samson says, hey, we need to strike at the heart of the division. There are these 3 depots embedded in the city, and we got to destroy them. And this is the first time Samson is, telling you, like, hey, go and destroy particular buildings. Weirdly, Banner is expressing concern for civilians. This is incredibly kind of like discontinuous here. Like,
why now? It makes sense for Banner to care about this stuff. Like, Banner's, he's a superhero. He's not a supervillain.
That's why he wants to be away from people, so he doesn't turn into the Hulk and do Hulk stuff at them.
And Samson's been having him run errands that have huge body counts.
Yeah.
For this whole game. Like, it's basically the point of the game.
Do you know how many people have been throwing into the ocean? Has Samson been going and like fishing them out?
He just dives in and saves them all. This deadly dry cleaning trip that Samson's taking you on. But Samson says they've evacuated those parts of the city. There's been Hulk business going on every other day for the last month. I can't imagine living in this city.
No.
Like, the police are unsurprisingly no use against this Hulk. And it's very funny that they even thought they would be, that they come on. I love when they draw on you.
Yeah.
Like, when you're running towards them and a little guy comes out and holds a gun. He's like, stop right there, Hulk. You're under arrest.
He's got comically large handcuffs.
He's like, okay. Like, read Hulk rights. And then he
Hulk remit himself to courthouse on his own recognizance.
I'm just imagining like a bigger Hulk lawyer, like, coming in. I know his cousin's the lawyer, but the idea, I was just saying that the idea of lawyer Hulk is very funny, and then just realized like that is
that's the premise of a whole character. Yeah.
But if it was just I was imagining just a whole Hulk legal system that I quite liked. The big handcuffs.
Hulk judge and just a big scraggly barrister's wig.
Yeah. That's the Maestro. That's a Hulk from the future who's bald and super smart.
God damn it. I hate that. I hate when I make a joke and you say, actually.
Dude, that's what happens to me all the time on Guppy, but it's when I make a joke and then Will tells me actually the McElroys did it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not a McElroy guy, so I'm not copying them. It's fucking maddening. Like the amount of comedy real estate they've just decided to piss on, like squat and spray their stink on. It's goddamn maddening, dude. Like you do not just get Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett is bigger than us, and you guys cannot have it. I will not give it to them.
I think he's overstating that, like, oh, that's theirs. It's just, I think
he's doing it to be mean to me.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely overstating it because he's trying to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Because
that's the point of that show, that somehow we allowed to continue.
Yeah. We haven't had the Guppy Buster armors haven't been deployed. We have to take down these buildings. It's always fun just to smash a building.
Yeah.
Like 3D rampage shit. They're guarded by Hulkbuster destroyers. So we've dealt with this. This is nothing really new.
Mm-hmm.
Once you, but it does have the fun of like splitting your time between, do you want to try to do a bunch of damage to the building and avoid the Hulkbusters? Do you want to deal with them and destroy a building at your leisure? You can do either. Afterwards, we get this cutscene. Blonsky's talking to himself in his office again. He's Green Goblin. One voice in his head.
I think you mean Green Gabbin.
Yeah, he's Green Gabbin. He's Green Gabby. Telling him to use his power for good. And then a photo of his wife tells him he's becoming addicted to the power and becoming the abomination. The photo of his wife talking to him reminded me of Hoagie Man talking to Pierre in Tim and Eric when he takes the dream cream. So, that made me smile.
Oh my gosh. Taking us to Turning Point, which is a little bit of an articulation point for the story here. Weirdly enough, this is one of the few missions. It's the first time I ran into one that where I hadn't bought the move that was required for it. Like I didn't have the hammer toss move yet. So it's you need to go ahead.
Yeah. This is the tank throwing move. I was referring to. Either you want to get this as soon as you can because it's incredibly useful.
Yes.
Again, killing two birds with one stone, but you do need it for this.
Yes. Yeah. The briefing is really simple. It says, hey, there's classified material at this military test site, and you have to get it. It feels real pro forma. And Banner says, hey, something doesn't feel right. And you think, okay, this is going to be in the Badlands. No, as you're leaving the city, Hulk gets caught. Samson has sold you out.
Yep. Done. He basically walks up to you and says, hey, you should surrender. You're going to end up dead.
Yeah.
If you don't go to the military, we've gone too far.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt Ross is like, talking's not working. Send in the mech. Which is always what happens with Hulk. And we fight a even bigger mech.
Boy, it's gigantic.
The mechs in this game basically top out as big as I ever want a mech to be. And they're Gary style mechs in that they look like giant machines. They don't look like, svelte, sexy robots.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. So they're pretty cool looking mechs. But this is really fucking tough.
Yeah.
The expectation you need to set for boss fights in this is that they're marathons. At least it's in the city.
Yeah. So if you need to run away for a minute, you can. Kind of the trick to this is there are multiple targets on this one thing. There are multiple weapon systems. As you destroy the weapon system, that takes that move away from this enemy. Around this time, you can buy the move that lets you cling to cling to larger mechanical enemies. This is what you want to do, is find a way to get attached to the shoulder lasers and the chest missiles and stuff, and do charged pummels on them to whittle those away as quickly as possible. It's a real rich get richer kind of deal.
I almost exclusively huck tanks at him.
Oh yeah?
I waited for tanks to spawn and hammer toss tanks at his weak points, which is how I got through this. But there are multiple. I don't know if I got the hugging move, the Shadow of the Colossus hug.
It was a real fun way to take out helicopters and jets.
Oh yeah, I imagine so. It sounds cool. I just once I could start hucking tanks, it became kind of my all-purpose.
Why would you do anything else?
It's very effective, and I want to get rid of that tank. It does a pretty ridiculous amount of damage too, more than I think this is going to be. I'm going to say something very ridiculous. I think the amount of damage that getting hit by a tank in this game does is more than the amount of damage it would do in real life.
You tested that, Butterfield?
No, my gut says that being hit by a tank wouldn't hurt this much.
What I'm saying was, if somebody threw a tank at me, I wouldn't make this big a deal out of it.
I would simply shrug it off.
Yeah.
I'd resist it using Constitution. It just really chunks them, you know?
Yeah. The big bummer, and what makes me think your strategy is probably the way to go, is he's got this instant shield which will bubble you away from him. Yeah,
that's a bummer.
Yeah, deploys it with no warning. Bit of a rough one. But like, as far as boss fights go, this is not as terrible as it could be.
No, this isn't too bad.
No.
You take this down, this mega mech that Thunderbolt Ross is riding, and Samson says, "I know what to do to take down the Hulk." Bruce, there had to be a failsafe. He pulls out this tiny little remote control for Hulks and presses a button and it puts Hulk to sleep.
We saved our best idea for last. Why?
It's always some Pacific Rim bullshit. We could have done this at any time. We just chose not to. You know?
Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a movie. We couldn't figure out how to solve that problem.
Yeah, it's because we're saying it's due to a threat to civilians. Just window dressing.
Yeah.
You know, we want to see the big fight, but also, it didn't work. Let's press the button.
It's just a little handheld emitter. Puts a Hulk to sleep.
I love it. Love a remote control Hulk. Your own personal Hulk. He's already been Samson's personal Grubhub Hulk. His Grub Hulk. his Grulk Hulk. But he's
Grulk Hub?
Yeah.
Hulk Hub.
Hulk Hub. Door Hulk. Hulker. This brings us into chapter 5, Inner Sanctum.
Yes. Itty bitty baby chapter. Just 2 missions here. A lot of setup. This is mostly story kind of deal. We learned that what happened was, when we were doing these missions, sometimes it wasn't always Samson. Instead, it was the Devil Hulk persona tricking Banner, which is a real weird gambit for them to play. And there's not a lot of track laid for that, except for that one mission where Banner's like, but won't that kill civilians?
I hate it when my eviler half impersonates my therapist, my brain therapist.
Days like that. Ugh, hate days like today. So I think this is the first mention of Devil Hulk. Can you give a rundown on what a Devil Hulk is?
Boy, again, following that trail of breadcrumbs that begins with the 2 words, I think it's just the most, destroy part of the Hulk. It's just personified. Like, the Hulk is constantly having parts of him personified.
Okay.
As stuff. So like sometimes that Hulk takes over. Sometimes like Bruce Banner and Hulk get separated. So there's just a freestanding Hulk walking around and Bruce Banner goes and does science.
Okay.
In his own places. Like the Hulk is all about what if parts of your personality were animated.
Yeah.
Basically. So Devil Hulk is just, the temptation to do evil Hulk shit.
Yeah. So like Hulk Prime, God, don't tell me there's an actual Hulk Prime. Hulk Prime is like is kind of the more simpler, reasonable, destruction. Whereas Devil Hulk is, at least in this, I know it changes in Immortal Hulk. And this is like the more sinister destruction, like just claiming superiority, right?
Yeah, more or less. Like traditional Hulk wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
And cannot be left alone. Then there's like smart Hulks. Maestro, who's evil but smart. It's basically like, imagine the that quadrant chart, and it's just like smart, dumb, evil, good.
Gotcha.
And then there's a Hulk for all of those quadrants.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a Hulk for all seasons, as it were.
Gotcha. Okay, but yes, Devil Hulk is trying to take over. Get rid of the naive regular Hulk. Abomination is taking over Blonsky, and we're learning that this thing called Mission Directive has become his sole focus. There's a lot of misdirect on what Mission Directive is. This is the thing that they said, oh yeah, that is possibly something supernatural down in the vault.
Yes. Yeah. Samson's hanging out with the military people, Ross and Blonsky, and he's super mad because they promised him that they would try to open up Banner's mind through therapy and music and stuff. Instead, they're using brute force through evil science machines.
Right.
So he's very mad about this. Devil Hulk tells Bruce that this is what you're going to turn into.
Yeah.
As you change, like you're going to become more and more like this. And him kind of goading Banner turns him into the Hulk. Kind of overloads his restraints.
Yeah.
And then you get this little escape where you're this mission called Without Parole, where you have to escape this underground facility. It's like the only corridor level. You know what it reminds me of? It's an Armored Core 4 answer level.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I like that. Do you
remember how the indoor levels were all exactly like this for some reason?
Yeah, when you're inside the stations. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like that to me. You know, and similar, so much so that like you don't really need to stop and fight shit. You're just trying to run out and smash through doors and get to the goal.
Yes. Yeah.
You're following Blonsky. Blonsky's running around, closing doors behind you, which you have to stop. When you get to the end, you have to fight a new boss here, a new mech, the Capture Warden. That comes up. I don't remember too much about the Capture Warden, other than just having he's not a missile based warden, he's not a wrestle warden.
Yeah, I think it might be like a beam mech kind of thing. No clue.
Beam warden. Yeah. When you get to Blonsky, he turns into Abomination, and this is him revealing his secret. That they're the same.
Yeah, this is where the division puts it together. Yeah, it's one guy. And we go into the kind of final mission of this chapter, Topside, which is another escape. We are at the far end of the Badlands, kind of in the military base side, in the canyons. And the military is just throwing everything that they have at you. The choppers, jets, missile trucks, which are a big problem because they just lay them out faster than any other thing that can shoot missiles.
The thing I like about this is that the Abomination is also here.
Yes.
And they're also trying to fight him. Like they're not doing, they're acting normally. Like they're acting like one might. Like they just don't like Hulks. It's not personal. So this would be intolerable if their aggro wasn't split.
Yes.
It still is obnoxious that they're throwing everything at you, but there are ways that you can kind of manipulate it so they're more likely to target Abomination to give you clearance to get ahead and stuff.
Yeah, because this is weirdly like a puzzle. Because the different parts of the canyon are sealed off by these energy shields, which we've encountered before. They're shield emitters, like little satellite dishes. However, the emitters are on the other side of the shield. Because they only stop gamma stuff, they will stop you, but not anything you throw. So the combat that you're doing is to give yourself enough space so you can pick up a throwable and get to the right position to charge up a throw to where it will reach all of the emitters. So that the shield will go down and you can proceed. Yeah.
And there are multiple ones. Sometimes you have to find the right angle on them. It actually ends up, the reason why the Badlands are laid out the way they are is basically for this mission.
Yeah.
And the reason why there aren't more fast travel points in it. Because they need to do this mission.
Yeah.
Once you get to the jump point, you go to the church, and we get to chapter 6, To the Devil His Due. Both Hulk and Abomination have escaped into the city. Banner's in a bad position because Devil Hulk is ready to take over him. At this point, Bruce walks up to Samson and confronts him about the betrayal. And Samson says, "Hey, I'm sorry. Like, I'm a liar, an idiot, but I'm also a thief." And he throws something to Bruce. It's one half of the regulator axis, one of the things on his grocery list.
Yeah. So we just might have a chance. We have to get the other half of this doodad.
Yep. If we collect enough doodads, we'll finally be able to unhulk you, buddy.
So getting us to Strange Cargo. I think this is the one. Oh yes, it is the mission that made me laugh out loud. So our last chance to bring the machine online is in this military base, the other half of this regulator. To get in, we're going to need to sneak. And to do that, we're going to need to steal a cargo truck, which is pretty regular. You just carry it a long way across the map, but to get close to the military base. And then when you get to the proper point, what Hulk does is he just holds the truck over him, and you see his little Hulk feet just kind of walking the truck. He's like hiding under it like it's a turtle shell. Nobody in here but us Hulks. I mean, drivers.
Stealth Hulk. Very good.
Like, it's not even hard. Like, nobody's really suspicious of this cargo truck, which is moving by ambulation and not wheels.
It's very similar to people who in the early Metal Gear games where they did not care that you were in a box that much.
Yep. Must be some new prototype. Maybe they figured legs worked better than wheels.
Oh, it's a little Nintendo Labo Metal Gear. So you grab this, you walk in. Once you get the power modulator, then that's when the mission gets hard. You have to get this all the way across the map.
Yeah.
And this is actually fragile. This is the first time. So you have to be very careful about wanting to drop it and eliminate threats. It's very hard just to run and ignore.
Yeah.
The stuff.
It's a long way you have to go with it.
Yeah. When you do this, you eventually get to grab the second doodad in the town. They execute something called Operation Cerberus, which was a trap. As opposed to putting up these shields between you and what you want, they put up a dome around you and deploy these Hulkbusters at you. There aren't grabbables inside the dome that you can throw at these generators outside the dome. They want you to throw the Hulkbusters.
Yeah.
At them. It's much easier to use critical mass attacks that'll go through the shield though.
Yeah. Which is what I ended up doing for at least two of them. Yeah. And that also gives you enough ammo. It will take out the Hulkbuster so you can throw them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. After you do this, you get into Freedom's Swan Song. Ross has tracked your location to the church, so you have to defend the church for 10 minutes so Samson can finish the machine.
Another lie.
Yeah, another lie. Thank goodness here. Because, if 3 minutes is too long, 10 minutes is too long. But it's kind of fun to actually use the, your home base.
Yeah.
As a gameplay level. I always appreciate that. And you get to the church has a health meter.
Yes.
Which that feels like a conservative talking point of some kind that is just money on the table. They're leaving.
Yeah. What you should be doing is trying to level up with the Lord.
Yes. I don't know. There's another guy with a lot of power and some strange ideas that we once knew.
He's the guy down at the gas station. The guy with the hat.
Dude, have you Jeremy sent me today? This could not be more relevant. It's not going to sound like it, but it is, I promise.
Okay.
Jeremy sent me a trailer today for a video game. He's called The Inquisitor. Have you seen anything about this, The Inquisitor game?
No.
The opening line of this, it looks like a Witcher 1 mod. It looks like bullshit.
Okay.
The opening line in it is we all remember the day when Christ was hung up on the cross and ripped himself free. And the idea is basically a Christ Hulk. And then this is thousands of years in the future where you play as gods enforcers, as inquisitors, because Christ was so strong that he ripped himself off from the cross and went on a rampage. And it's not played for camp or anything.
What?
It's literally what we're talking about. It's there once was another green guy who had some crazy ideas.
Yeah. What if Christ Hulk?
Yeah, you got to watch this trailer. It's very hard to predict how the first sentence ends in it, and then the rest of it just looks like a shitty Witcher 1 mod.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, it's exactly what we're joking about.
It's called the Inquisitor, huh?
The Inquisitor. Not trying to buzz market for them. It looks like shit, but the first line in the trailer is funny.
Huh. Okay.
This is not bad. Again, you don't have to actually do it for 10 minutes. You just have to take out some waves of tanks and jets, and then 2 big mechs who come in. But the church is mighty. So.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yep. This takes us into the last mission of Chapter 6, Crossroads.
Yeah.
You hear directly, you get this little cutscene where Samson activates the machine. It hits Banner with energy and takes him into an inner mindscape where you have to fight the Devil Hulk.
Yeah.
Here. This is so fucking dated.
Oh my God.
Just incredible 2005 bullshit here.
It might as well be not the meat circus but it's kind of in that same zip code, if not same neighborhood,
Yeah. I'm just thinking of being in a boss fight with a big thing in the middle where you have to destroy 3 crystals to make the boss vulnerable.
So the crystals somehow are related to him being in the hole, and then you want to get him out of the hole so you can do damage to him. Yeah.
The Devil Hulk is like, he's kind of like a gigantic version of the groundhog from Caddyshack.
Is he all right? Should we worry about him?
Yeah, if you take out the 3 Caddy Hulks that are around, he'll pop out of the hole and you can punch him some.
The Hulk would be a terrible caddy. Hulk would play into the lie.
Damn it, Hulk! Hulks are just power drive.
Hulk always suggests power drive.
Hulk. Yeah. Bruce Banner's putting challenge. But this is very generic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a long time.
Mm-hmm. Big HP sponge. Yeah.
Yeah, big HP sponge. Not too bad, but in terms of like hatefulness, but huge HP sponge, pretty annoying.
Yeah.
You take him out, we get a little cutscene of Devil Hulk begging for his life, and Hulk finishes him.
Yeah.
Like, he appeals directly to Bruce, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, Bruce, please, I was only trying to ... And then
yeah, be a Devil Hulk. This brings us into the final chapter, the Garden of Good and Evil.
Right.
With no more Devil Hulk, Bruce now has to deal with the Abomination, who's going through something similar. The parallelism that they're setting up here is not subtle.
No.
He's very concerned that Blonsky has allied with whatever creature was codenamed Mission Directive in the vault.
Yeah, so we do the mission Intercept. Samson has tracked Blonsky to this cave near the Mission Directive vault, his old workplace there. He's trying to get access to it, and we have to stop him. And Blonsky is down there in this cave talking with Abomination, kind of in the reflections in the water. And he is trying to argue with the Abomination inside him, saying, I don't want the power that you're offering me. I just want my life back. I want to go back to the way it was before this gamma radiation ruined me. And Abomination just kind of like goads him, saying the only way that can happen is if you can destroy everybody who is trying to destroy you, before they can destroy you.
Yep. So you have to run to the end of the Badlands to get there, which is not too bad. There's a little capture warden at the end. Not too bad.
Yeah.
This is a little breather before the end boss fight, which is obnoxious.
Yes.
We get a little cutscene here where the Abomination breaks his way into the Mission Directive chamber, and Mission Directive is Miss Directive.
Yep.
The woman in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
This is Mrs. Blonsky. She reacted to Gamma the way that people do.
Yeah.
Which is not by turning into Hulk, but by getting very sick.
Yeah, by mutating and getting extremely sick.
Yep.
Yeah. And to add a little bit of extra tragedy onto this, she was carrying Blonsky's unborn child.
Yes.
And so when he shows up, all of the Hulk activity around this, everything that he's been doing, has caused the tank to break. Now they are both dead.
Yep. They've gone bad.
Yeah.
It's like when my friend bought a bunch of little Smokies.
Okay.
Sausages, and he opened the package and they were rotten.
Ugh.
And he called the number on the package, and the person answered like they knew it was going to happen. Goes, so you got a leaker, huh?
Cat on the wall. Now you're talking my language.
Which was not only delightful, but it also was presaged by the delightful my friend being like, "Hey man, did I tell you about the leaker?" Which was also real fun.
Oh God!
So Mrs. Blonsky's a leaker at this point.
Not that we're judging or anything,
No. So he blames Bruce because Bruce invented this gamma transference technology.
Yes,
like when he was a scientist. Mm-hmm. So he transforms in the Abomination and runs away.
Yeah, taking us into the mission "Hell hath no fury." That's not how that aphorism goes.
Nope.
So
like an Abomination score.
Yeah. So Blonsky, he is running toward the hydroelectric dam outside of the city. He wants to bust it up and flood the place. We need to stop him, but Ross is going to be coming after us and making things difficult. At least that's what the mission briefing says.
Yeah. So you follow the Abomination across the map. You have to fight him every once in a while. And again, like the Badlands missions, the army is against both of you.
Yeah.
So you have this kind of like three-way thing. It's not, full BioShock where you can subvert this third pillar, which would be great. But you can, it will help you. sometimes. Like there are times in the fight where like you're fighting and a missile will stun lock Abomination at a point where it's useful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's pretty dynamic. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
He reaches the end of this and jumps Escaping Pursuit, which leads us into our final mission here, Endgame, which takes place at the dam. We have to stop the Abomination from destroying this dam long enough for Samson to evacuate the city.
Yeah.
And this is trash. It's a, you know, I'd love to be able to say this game ends on like a fun note.
No,
it does not. It ends on a Hulk Ultimate Destruction boss fight.
Yeah. This big dumb boss fight, some stuff is a little bit of a reprise of the boss fight against Abomination in chapter 1. But it's just more HP, him having more moves, similar problems to all the previous boss fights that we have. Occasionally he will go to the generators and start attacking them. You can hit him and knock them into the generator to do a bunch of damage, you know, which I was going to be hitting him anyway. I don't understand how that's a strategy.
It's not really. He's trying to damage the generators, and this damages the generators as well.
Yeah.
But since you're ultimately trying to stop him, like it ends up making sense.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, because of the power curve of this, and because I had enabled both cheats and I had more moves, I think this is easier than the first time you fight him.
Yeah.
Which is real weird because it shouldn't be. It's the final boss of the game, but it really does feel like they are totally dry on the well of how they can do boss fights.
Yeah. Something that's a little bit of a problem, like specifically with this Mercy, the Devil Hulk fight is like you saying like, oh, I had powered up, kind of unlock this for me. You're buying moves, but the moves that you're buying are for dealing with stuff that you would run into doing the sandbox stuff, right? Usually. Getting into these story missions, there's very little that you can do with the stuff that you unlock. It feels like specifically the boss fights, not the story missions, I should say. So like boss fights, like maybe there's something you can turn into a shield. It's limited. Maybe there's some benefit to a particular combo. No, that's kind of more effective against airborne enemies than what I'm dealing with right here. You're kind of, you're buying a bunch of keys, and the boss fights are doors that those keys do not work with.
For the most part, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I would have probably, if I were just designing this game from scratch, and this is getting into like final wrap up shit, but I mean, I might have had like stats in this.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about buying moves in this. There are like a staggering number of moves in this game. It's like 50 or something.
Yeah.
Like, that might be a mild exaggeration, but it's not much of one. So having 40 of them not be useful during boss fights is a big deal.
Yes.
You know, especially given that those tend to be the big difficulty spikes. You do increase your avatar strength. Like the big thing that ended up helping me in this was increasing my overall energy, like my health.
Yes.
Because then I just had a cushion even when I went down into like meltdown mode or whatever, the like when you're about to die mode.
Yeah, adrenaline rush.
But the balance is not there. You know, mostly you're buying keys that you cannot use here, like currency that doesn't spend. So when you eventually beat him, we get our ending cutscene. You know, Abomination actually wins. He cracks the dam in kind of a suicide attack, but Hulk smashes the canyon to redam the river. You know, there's no more Devil Hulk. The Hulk that's inside here does not want countless lives to be flooded and dead.
Yes. Yeah. We get kind of this epilogue. General Ross is blaming Hulk for all of the destruction. You know, the city is completely brought to its knees. And Samson bemoans their loss of a cure. Just in all of this, all the progress that they made is undone.
Yep. All the doodads I collected were for naught. And Banner basically says, yeah, you know what? I'm taking the black pill.
Yeah.
Like this is what happens when I try to get myself fixed. Fuck it. I am the Hulk. You know, he transforms, he runs away. The military chases him, and he's going to be back on the run.
Yeah. The cosmic ballet continues.
Yes. Yeah. The cosmic gumbo is stirred. And that's where it ends. A game I like. I still like this. I had more fun, had fun more often than not.
Yeah.
Revisiting this, which is going to be, again, the theme this week or this month of like things that are dated or awkward that are still on the balance, like good, but are very illustrative of weaknesses that are out of style now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like my main memories of this, I concentrate on the difficulty spikes because they're a huge pain in the ass and they were trauma. You know, they sucked. Most of the game though was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's like for the most part pretty fun to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Like when the game is in Hulk Ultimate Destruction mode, it's pretty great. It's when it tries to, you know, bend itself to fit something a little bit more conventional, that it ends up, kind of falling down. I ended up feeling pretty similar playing this to how I felt when we did Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Right.
Sure.
Where that is another game, not from a dissimilar, like from a couple of years before this, but still same generation, a lot of the same kind of inherent problems, just weird balance, difficulty spikes. It doesn't feel like it takes care of you, really, but still a game that, like, on the balance had more fun than not, but like, it kind of feels like when you're going back and playing one of these, you're playing all of them, because there really was just stuff that was endemic. There were just, I don't know, assumptions that developers made or things that were just assumed to be okay that, like, why would I deal with that? Because that's just what games are right now. We're making games for the PS2, baby. It's 2004. Yeah. Awoo.
It's one of those things where I reject the idea that games just have gotten better.
Right.
Like holistically and entirely.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there are design eras that are really transitional.
Yes.
And thus are very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And the games are still worth playing from those times. Like I wasn't that into Sands of Time on Revisit. I like this more than I like that game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's similar in that it's worth playing. The ones that are worth playing have something there.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that are real, like Masterpiece class, you don't end up having that feeling, right? Like, it's pretty wild that this is the same console generation that Shadow of the Colossus was on.
Yes.
Which is a game that feels very forward thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are awkward control things to that because we didn't really figure out what buttons feel right for doing things yet. But the design of it doesn't feel outmoded.
Yeah.
Or dated. But those are real rare. There's this other class of things where there's, within the cruft, there's stuff that's worth playing, that's in there, that is worth going back for, even if you do have to kind of time travel back to different standards of stuff.
Yeah.
And the PS2 is a big generation for it.
Oh boy.
Like, big generation for it.
Yeah.
Someday on this show, I will get Mercenaries on here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a vanity pick I'd really like to do. And it's weird that I'm saying I want to do it because it's going to be the same thing.
Yes.
Like, it's going to be real fun when you're calling in airstrikes on buildings randomly, but it's going to be obnoxious that it's tied into this currency system. It's going to be obnoxious. There's going to be boss fights and shit that are obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have these problems.
Yeah. And
we just didn't know how to do it. Like,
that's what I mean when I say playing one game from this era kind of feels a little bit like playing all of them. Not so much like qualitatively, but it's just the issues fall into similar bands. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And, it becomes, as you get further away, it like you see those trends, those bands of issues end up getting more defined. They're held up into, kind of starker relief. And we're absolutely going to see that about games that are coming out now too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and something that's really interesting, I think, about with Ultimate Destruction is that, similar to what I mean, nobody has to agree with me about this, but that's a long way of saying don't at me. What I was talking about with the Ang Lee thing is that there's a lot of affection and reevaluation of games from this era because where I think that quality gets confused with just it's different from the mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a modern game that I know is going to 100% take care of me can very much feel just like too samey.
Yeah.
Like, very safe, very by the numbers. I get that. And that sucks. But I don't go as far as to say anything that doesn't do that is automatically good.
Mm-hmm.
There are things like this, which do not take care of you, but provide something else that's actually unique and cool and justifies itself. And that's good. But I don't want to play a bad version of this. I don't want to play a version of this that the virtue of it or the appeal is that it has shitty difficult spikes and you hold you hold R1 to run, and, it has these awkward controls. Like, that is not inherently good.
Yeah.
To me. Cause I don't feel like I have to put up with that. I can either do these diamond in the rough kind of things. The rough not being the field, the rough being the individual game, this being a game that is half rough and half diamond. Or I can play Shadow of the Colossus. I can play things where I don't have to make those compromises.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a thing where it's interesting to find the games from these transitional eras that have stuff that's interesting about them, which is like perfectly transitions to Terranigma, which is like, I'm about halfway through that. And that's been entirely my experience with that as well. Like, I think that has a lot of outmoded gaming design things, but is also doing some neat stuff as well.
Yeah.
So,
agreed.
Yeah. If you have anything to say about Hulk Ultimate Destruction, Terranigma, Out of This World, or Vampire, hit us up by June 15th at duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yeah. Click the WAF button there. Watch out for fireballs. Please write in, if you have thoughts about multiple games, write in multiple responses, one about each. That makes our job possible. Also, we're looking for specific thoughts, and, not like super short, but like think about like 2 paragraphs as like a length. So we can read it and respond. We're also looking for the deadline for June's games there are June the 15th. If you have thoughts about July's games, that deadline is July the 15th. It's always the 15th of each month. And those games are Final Fantasy 12 and Wario Land 4. 2 peas in a pod.
Very similar. A couple of people asked me this, and I think it's worth saying. I at least am playing the Zodiac international version.
Being that that's the one you can buy now. I think isn't
the international job board part of it though is something you can turn on or off.
I believe
like
so.
Right. So I'm turning it on because my understanding is like one of my big problems with that game mechanically when I played it was all the characters were the same.
Yeah.
Mechanically. My understanding is this fixes that.
Yes. Yeah.
So if to anybody who is like, oh, I prefer this before it got Scholar of the First Sin, that's fine. But we're talking about the Scholar of the First Sin version, or at least I will be mechanically.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to contrasting it with the version that I bounced off of. So,
yeah. And I'm looking forward to revisiting this game. This is a game that I enjoy quite a bit. So,
yeah, I hope that I am trying. I'm not even trying. I am committed to keeping a very open mind that it fixes the mechanical issues I had that failed the game for me.
Yeah.
So my mind is as open as it possibly could be.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of other stuff coming after that. Most of the year is planned out, not all of it though. If you would like to support a game or sponsor one, you can do so by going to patreon.com/duckfeed.tv. That's also how you get our premium episodes, which are going to include Vampire and Wario Land 4. You also get a bunch of other bonus shows. So you get things like Bonfireside Chat and Extra Object Sufferings and Unfilmable and all kinds of stuff.
If you can't support us, we understand. But you can do things that do not require cost, like leaving a rating or review. If the podcast directory that you use accepts rating or reviews, you can tell your friends. You can help promote episodes on Twitter, other social networking. All of that helps out. And most of all, coming back next week.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Anything else? What should they watch out for until next time?
I mean, it has to be missiles, right?
Yeah, missiles. Even more so than abominations or like devil podcasters.
Yeah. Devil podcasters.
Podcaster listener buster.